Chapter 1922. Stop. Ling Yusin did not expect Yi Qinfeng to be so bold as to send Mo Tsangu flying in front of everyone. Her expression changed slightly as she immediately stood in front of Yi Qinfeng, afraid that something would happen to him. Get out of the way, or I won't be courteous to you. The white-haired old man glared at Ling Yusin with his blood-red eyes like an enraged wolf as he ordered. The ancestral rhyme emitted from his body brought great pressure to Ling Yusin, who was a 5-star Dao god, to the point that she could not breathe. Mo Feng, don't you dare harm the saintess. 2 half-martial ancestor gray-robed old women quickly stood in front of Ling Yusin, helping her to resist the ancestral rhyme emitted by the white-haired old man. Protector Mo, kill that brat for me. I want his life. Mo Tsangu, whose face was completely caved in and several of his teeth were broken, struggled to get up. He pointed at Yi Qinfeng and ordered angrily, I'll count to 3. Whoever doesn't get out of the way, I'll kill them. Mo Feng took a step forward, and a terrifying ancestral rhyme surged towards Ling Yusin and the other 2, forcing them to take 3 steps back and almost knocking into Yi Qinfeng behind them. Protector Mo, it's our fault this time. As long as you're willing to let Qinfeng go, our Kunlun's sacred ground will only give you an explanation. Although Ling Yusin had 2 half-martial ancestor almighty protecting her, the difference in strength between a half-martial ancestor and a true ancestor was too great. If Mo Feng insisted on making a move, they could not stop him at all. Helpless, Ling Yusin could only speak softly. Stinking brat, if you continue talking nonsense, I won't spare you. As the 5th young master of the devil race, when had Mo Tsangu ever suffered such humiliation? At this moment, he only wanted to kill Yi Qinfeng to redeem his face. Yusin, you guys get out of the way. It's just 2 dogs. I can crush them with 1 hand. Yi Qinfeng walked around Ling Yusin and the other 2 and slowly walked towards the 1-star devil ancestor, Mo Feng. Brat, I guarantee that you'll regret going against me. Because Yi Qinfeng had the mirage blood in his body and his strength far surpassed Mo Tsangu's. Mo Tsangu could not sense Yi Qinfeng's true cultivation at all. He did not take him seriously and spoke darkly. Kneel! As soon as Mo Feng's voice fell, a thunderous voice rang in Mo Feng's ears. The voice was so powerful that it caused Mo Feng's soul to tremble and his brain to slow down a little. In the next moment, Yi Qinfeng's right hand, which was filled with 700 billion gene of strength, slammed down on Mo Feng's shoulder. Mo Feng was unable to dodge in time. The terrifying power gushed into Mo Feng's body like a tide that had broken through a dam. The impact caused Mo Feng's knees to buckle, and he fell to his knees, smashing 2 large pits in the hard ground. Witnessing the scene of Mo Feng, a 1-star Dao ancestor, being forced to kneel by Yi Qinfeng with a single slap, the hearts of the 2 gray-clad old women who despised Yi Qinfeng trembled, and their eyes almost fell out of their sockets. Ling Yusin also revealed a look of shock, and the way she looked at Yi Qinfeng changed greatly. She was surprised that Yi Qinfeng's strength had reached such a level in just over 100 years. You're courting death. Mo Feng, who had recovered from his shock, was furious. The blood in his body burned completely. A pitch-black half-martial ancestor blade with powerful ancestor intent appeared in his hand. Under the control of his mind, he slashed at Yi Qinfeng. Humph! You want to hurt me with a mere half-martial ancestor weapon? After cultivating the invincible sword body, Yi Qinfeng's physical body was even stronger. He snorted coldly and stretched out 2 fingers. Under the gazes of many people who were almost stunned, he caught the half-martial ancestor blade with shocking ancestor intent. Crack! Yi Qinfeng slightly exerted force with his fingers and directly crushed the blade of the half-martial ancestor blade. Then he slapped down, making Mo Feng, who was struggling to stand up, kneel on the ground again. Miss, who is this person? How can his strength be so terrifying? The scene of Yi Qinfeng making Mo Feng kneel was shocking enough, but seeing him crush the half-martial ancestor blade with 2 fingers, the 2 gray-clothed old women were dumbfounded. Chung Feng is a friend that Yi Ming and I made in the 100 Battle Starfield. As for his identity, I'm not too sure. Ling Yusin took a deep breath, suppressed the shock in her heart, and transmitted her voice. Well, where are you going? Yi Feng saw from the corner of his eyes that Mo Tsungu, who was scared out of his wits, wanted to take advantage of the chaos to escape. He summoned the white dragon rope, controlled it to bind Mo Tsungu's body, and pulled him to his side. When he met Yi Feng's sharp eyes, Mo Tsungu's heart trembled, and he braced himself to warn loudly. You can't hurt me. If you hurt me, I guarantee that the demon clan will settle the score with you. Why are you afraid? Weren't you very arrogant just now? Yi Feng was unmoved by Mo Tsungu's warning and said coldly, Sir, this is our fault. Please be magnanimous and let us go. As long as you let us go, I promise that I won't cause trouble for you in the future. Mo Feng was stunned by the humiliation in his heart. He concealed the killing intent in his eyes and said in a low voice, Isn't it too late to admit your mistake now? Yi Feng sneered and said, Let me send you on your way. With that, Yi Feng pointed his finger at Mo Feng, whose pupils were dilated and who was defending with all his might. You can't. Before Mo Feng could finish his words, Yi Feng's finger, which was filled with powerful sword intent, pierced through Mo Feng's defense and pointed at his head. Bam! Mo Feng's head exploded, and the soul in his head was completely shattered. He fell into a pool of blood and died on the spot. Dead. Mo Feng is dead. Ling Yusin and the other 2 did not expect Yi Feng to be so courageous. He really dared to kill Mo Feng, which was tantamount to falling out with the demon clan. No, don't kill me. I beg you, don't kill me. Mo Feng's death had completely destroyed Mo Tsungu's psychological defense, causing him to kowtow and beg for mercy, begging Yi Feng to spare his life. Chung Feng, although this Mo Tsungu is hateful, his identity is not simple. Killing him will be very troublesome. Ling Yusin shook her head and slowly walked over and advised, Do you think there won't be trouble if we let him go? Yi Feng revealed a faint smile and asked. This, although Mo Tsungu did not have any backbone, Ling Yusin knew that he had always been vengeful. If she let him go, he would definitely use all of his power to take revenge on Yi Feng. No, don't worry. As long as you let me go, I promise not to cause trouble for you. I will also think of a way to deal with Protector Mo's death. Mo Tsungu, who was scared out of his wits, repeatedly promised. No need to go through so much trouble. Yi Feng shook his head and said, unmoved, If your demon clan wants revenge, then come. I will bear it. With that, Yi Feng pressed one hand on the top of his head, and after forcefully searching his soul, he pointed out a second time and tapped on Mo Tsungu's head. Under his terrified gaze, his head was shattered, and his soul was shattered. After killing Mo Tsungu and Mo Feng consecutively, Yi Feng took back the white dragon rope and their belongings and spat out the true spirit sacred fire to melt their bodies. If you're afraid of being implicated by me, I'll leave on my own. I won't implicate you. Looking at Ling Yusin and the other 2 who had worried expressions, Yi Feng said indifferently, No need. This matter started because of me, so naturally it will be my Kunlun's sacred ground's responsibility. Ling Yusin looked at Mo Tsungu and Mo Tsungu who had been burned to ashes, then looked deeply at Yi Feng, and finally made up her mind. Holy Maiden, all right, I've already made up my mind. Don't say any more. Ling Yusin interrupted the 2 gray-clothed old women. Let's go back. Chapter 1923. We're here. This is my temporary residence. Apart from Yi Yeming, there are also 2 senior sisters and 3 senior brothers of my Kunlun Holy Land living here. Ling Yusin pointed to a residence with good scenery in front of them. There were 2 stone lions sitting at the entrance, shrouded in a powerful restriction. Yeming, look who's here. Ling Yusin opened a restriction and led Yi Feng into the residence as she shouted softly. Brother Yi, it's you. You've come to the Void God world. Yu Yiming, who walked out, saw Yi Chunfeng standing beside Ling Yusin and revealed a look of pleasant surprise. He quickly walked up to him. Yes, I've ascended to the Void God world for some time. Yi Chunfeng said with a smile. Yiming, are you here to participate in the Three Races Alliance ceremony? I came with my mother. Yu Yiming nodded and said, but it's too boring to follow my mother, so I snuck out. By the way, Brother Yi, we haven't seen each other for so long. I wonder how much your strength has increased. Why don't we have a competition? Yu Yiming suggested eagerly. Ling Yusin, Yiming, I think you should stop looking for trouble. The gap between our strength and Brother Ye's is too great. Ling Yusin could not help but shake her head when she thought of the scene of Yi Chunfeng crushing the quasi-ancestral artifact with both hands and easily killing the one-star Dao ancestor Emofeng. It's true. Yu Yiming's eyes lit up and the fighting spirit in his body soared. When we came, we happened to meet Imo, Sanggu, and Emofeng on the street. Ling Yusin said slowly, Brother Yi, you killed Imo Sanggu and Emofeng. After listening to Ling Yusin's story, Yu Yiming's eyes widened in disbelief. Although Imo Sanggu was nothing to fear, Emofeng was a genuine one-star Dao ancestor. It was extremely difficult to kill him. Yes, Yi Chunfeng smiled. Heavens, Brother Yi, don't tell me you've already broken through to the progenitor realm. Yu Yiming was very clear about the difficulty of breaking through to the progenitor realm. With his talent and resources, he was still stuck at the 6-star Dao God realm, unable to take that difficult step. I have indeed broken through to the ancestor realm. Yi Chunfeng said with a smile. Brother Yi, I really admire you. Compared to you, my little bit of talent is nothing. Yu Yiming sighed and said, No, I must know the difference in strength between the two of us. Brother Yi, can you take on my attacks? No problem. Yi Chunfeng nodded and agreed without hesitation. Brother Yi, this move of mine is a killer move derived from the Ascension Palace's supreme ability, the Ascension God Cannon. Its might is extremely great, so you have to be careful. Yu Yiming warned. All right, come on. Yi Chunfeng smiled and said with a relaxed expression. After cultivating the invincible sword physique, Yi Chunfeng's physical body had long been reborn. His physical body had reached an unimaginable level. With Yu Yiming's strength as a 6-star Dao God, it was impossible for him to hurt him. Ascension God Cannon. In order to see Yi Chunfeng's true strength, Yu Yiming took a deep breath and circulated the Ascension God Cannon with all his might to increase his strength. A powerful ascension force spread out from his body, fluctuating and causing the space around him to tremble violently. As the fluctuation caused by Yu Yiming circulating the Ascension God Cannon was too great, it alarmed Ling Yusin's senior brothers and sisters, causing them to come out of seclusion and come to the front yard. Brother Yi, be careful. With a solemn expression and trembling body, Yu Yiming took a deep breath and exhorted. He executed the strongest killer move he currently knew, Ascension shattering the void. With a blast, the Ascension force in his body surged out crazily like a broken dam, turning into millions of light feathers, evolving a terrifying Dao will, piercing through heaven and earth, shattering the space, and bombarding Yi Chunfeng. What a terrifying attack! The Ascension God Cannon is indeed the supreme ability of the Ascension Palace. Its might is truly terrifying. Yes, that person is probably going to suffer. Although Yu Yiming has not stepped into the Dao Ancestor realm, his ascension shattering the void is enough to injure a 1-star Dao Ancestor. Looking at Yi Chunfeng standing in place without dodging, Ling Yusin could not help but feel anxious while her senior brothers and sisters were waiting to watch a good show. Not bad, not bad. This move is indeed very powerful. Seeing tens of thousands of light feathers bombarding his body, Yi Chunfeng took a step forward and directly rushed into the millions of light feathers. Not good, quickly save him. Yu Yiming was very clear about the terror of the Ascension shattering the void. Seeing Yi Chunfeng rush into the millions of light feathers without any resistance, He immediately became nervous and shouted loudly. But in the next moment, the millions of light feathers that were enough to injure a one-star Tao ancestor suddenly shattered on a large scale, and in less than 3 breaths, they mysteriously disappeared. And the chaotic space also returned to calm at this moment. How is this possible? Looking at Yi Qinfeng, who was standing tall and straight with his hands behind his back and completely unscathed, everyone was so shocked that their eyes almost popped out. They could not believe what had just happened. Brother Yi, how did you do it? Yu Yiming stuttered a little. It could be said that Yi Qinfeng's methods were far beyond his imagination and had deeply shocked him. Just a small trick. Yi Qinfeng smiled. He did not say that he had broken the ascension, shattering the void, because he had used the power of the sword domain. Hey, Brother Yi, I really admire you, Yu Yiming said with a sigh. Let's go and drink. I can't beat you, so I must get you drunk. Okay. Yi Qinfeng had an inexplicable good impression of Yu Yiming. He nodded and followed him to a mountain pavilion in the depths of the mansion. Looking at the beautiful scenery of the mansion, they drank to their heart's content. Brother Yi, your strength has improved so quickly. You must have experienced many things, right? Yu Yiming raised his head and drank the beautiful scenery in his cup as he asked in a low voice. Yes, I have indeed experienced many things. Yi Qinfeng nodded and said, Fortunately, I'm a tough person. I turned all dangers into safety and even obtained many great fortuitous encounters. Hey, I really envy you. Yu Yiming sighed lightly and said, My mother keeps a close eye on me and doesn't allow me to take risks at all. If I could live a wonderful life like you, I think I would have broken through to the Downlord realm long ago. Right? Yiming, can you tell me who exactly your mother is? Yi Qinfeng felt a trace of curiosity towards Yu Yiming's origins, and he asked softly, Brother Yi, I feel like an old friend to you at first sight. I won't hide it from you. My mother is the saintess of Ascension Palace. Excluding some old bastards, my mother is the second most powerful person in Ascension Palace. Yu Yiming said frankly. So, your mother can speak for the alliance between the human race, ancient race, and demon race? Yi Qinfeng's eyes lit up. He didn't expect Yu Yiming to have such a background. Of course, although this alliance was made by Yu Huaxin, he didn't come. My mother is the representative of Ascension Palace for this alliance. Yu Yiming said proudly. Yiming, can you bring me to see your mother? I have something important to tell her. Unable to contact the ancient race, Yi Qinfeng was prepared to use Yu Yiming's mother as a breakthrough point to warn her of the Sky Race's schemes. What? Is it difficult? Looking at the hesitant Yu Yiming, Yi Qinfeng asked, My mother has a strange temper. She doesn't like to meet strangers. Yu Yiming thought for a while and said, Brother Yi, why are you looking for my mother? Very important. Yi Qinfeng said solemnly. All right, since that's the case, I will bring you to see my mother. If she is not happy, I will say that I want to be sworn brothers with you. I don't dare to make a decision on my own, so I will bring you to see my mother. Yu Yiming took a deep breath and suggested. All right, let's do that. Yi Qinfeng nodded, thinking that it was a good idea. Come, let's drink. Tomorrow morning, I will bring you to see my mother. If she doesn't mind, we will become sworn brothers. Yu Yiming also felt an inexplicable closeness to Yi Qinfeng and wanted to be sworn brothers with him. After a while, the slender and beautiful Ling Yusin also arrived at the pavilion and started drinking with the two of them. Very quickly, the night passed. Chapter 1924. The first rays of the morning sun shone from the east. Let's go, Brother Yi. I'll take you to see my mother. Yu Yiming rubbed his sleepy eyes and got rid of the smell of alcohol on his body. He left Ling Yusin's residence with Yi Qinfeng and brought him to the 100 Victory Palace where the Ascension Palace was staying. The 100 Victory Palace was one of the largest palaces in Xingu City, and it was also a famous scenic spot. It was located in the eastern part of the city, and because of the lofty status of the Ascension Palace, they immediately made the 100 Victory Palace their temporary residence. We're here. The 100 Victory Palace is up ahead. My mother and the others are living inside. Yi Qinfeng and Yu Yiming chatted along the way. After walking for more than 2 hours, They arrive at a dazzling palace that emitted a dazzling light. Young lord, seeing Yu Yiming's arrival, the 8 silver-armored guards guarding the 100 Victory Palace immediately stepped forward and bowed respectfully. Yu Yiming nodded to the 8 guards and asked, "Is my mother in the palace?" "The Holy Maiden is in the palace," a guard captain replied. "This is my friend, not an outsider. I'll take him to see my mother." Yu Yiming gave a simple introduction and then led Yi Chunfeng into the 100 Victory Palace. "I can sense my mother's energy. She's in that ancient pavilion up ahead," Yu Yiming said in a soft voice as he pointed at an antique building that stood in the middle of a garden. There was a clear pond outside the door. "This energy, why does it seem a little familiar?" The god-devouring brain, which was rapidly deducing, had sensed a familiar energy in the pavilion, but in the blink of an eye, this familiar energy had vanished, leaving Yi Chunfeng rather surprised. Standing outside the pavilion, Yu Yiming did not dare to enter and softly asked, "Mother, are you cultivating? Come in." A gentle and comforting voice came from the second floor of the pavilion. "Phew, let's go in." Yu Yiming secretly heaved a sigh of relief. He brought Yi Chunfeng to the second floor of the ancient tower and saw a woman wearing a white robe embroidered with a phoenix. Her entire body was enveloped in a white halo, and her true appearance could not be seen clearly. She was holding a pair of scissors and trimming a bonsai. But when she saw Yi Chunfeng, the scissors in her hand inexplicably trembled and cut off a blooming flower. "Mother, this is the brother Yi I mentioned to you before." Yu Yiming led Yi Chunfeng to the Feather Moon Holy Maiden and enthusiastically introduced him. Clap! As soon as Yu Yiming said that, the scissors in the Feather Moon Saintess's hand suddenly broke. Then she slapped Yu Yiming, who didn't manage to dodge in time, away. "Mother, what are you doing?" Covering his swollen face, Yu Yiming crawled up from the ground in a sorry state and asked with grievance, "Because you said something." Feather Moon Saintess sat down on her chair and poured a cup of spirit tea before speaking softly. "What did I say?" Yiming covered his swollen face and murmured in his mind, "What did I say? Mother, are you blaming me for taking Brother Yi?" Clap! Before Yu Yiming finished, the Feather Moon Holy Lady slapped the second time and sent Yu Yiming flying away. Yu Yiming smashed the wooden door into pieces. Seeing that Yu Yiming was sent flying twice by the Feather Moon Holy Maiden before he could say anything, Yi Chunfeng was speechless and speechless. "Mother, are you possessed? Why do you keep hitting me?" Yu Yiming was about to be beaten silly as he said sullenly, "Because you said something wrong." The Feather Moon Holy Maiden took a sip of the fragrant spirit tea. "What did I say?" Yu Yiming racked his brains, but he couldn't figure out what he had said wrong for him to be beaten twice for no reason at all. "Tell me, why did you come to me?" The Feather Moon Saintess glanced at Yi Chunfeng from the corner of her eyes and asked elegantly, "Mother, I know you're blaming me for bringing an outsider, but Yi Chunfeng and I hit it off at first sight. I want to become brothers of the opposite sex. What do you think, Mother?" Yu Yiming endured the burning pain from his cheeks as he spoke. "Brothers?" The Feather Moon Holy Maiden sounded playful. She glanced at Yi Chunfeng and then at Yiming and said, "I don't agree." "Why? Brother Yi is such a nice person." Yiming didn't understand. However, before he could finish, he was slapped away again by the Feather Moon Holy Maiden. This time, the Feather Moon Saintess used a bit of her strength and directly knocked Yu Yiming out of the ancient building. She heavily fell into the courtyard, startling many people in the courtyard. "Mother, why did you hit me again?" Yiming said with tears in his eyes. "Because you said something wrong." The Feather Moon Holy Maiden's voice came out of the building. "Yiming, Senior, I asked Yiming to bring me here. Please don't blame him." Yi Chunfeng didn't know what the Feather Moon Holy Maiden was thinking, but he didn't want to see Yiming get hit again and again, so he had to say something. "Why did you come to me?" The Feather Moon Holy Maiden took out a green jade cup with a powerful spirituality from her interspatial ring. She personally poured a cup of spirit tea for Yi Chunfeng and flicked it towards him. "I came to you to give you a warning." Yi Chunfeng drank the tea that Feather Moon Saintess personally poured for him and slowly said, "The alliance between the 3 races is actually a scheme of the Sky Race." "What do you mean?" The Feather Moon Holy Maiden slightly frowned. Because the Yao clan has long since surrendered to the Tian clan and became the lackeys of the Tian clan. Yi Chunfeng explained the situation of the Dragon clan in detail. Are you telling the truth? After hearing Yi Chunfeng's story, the Feather Moon Holy Maiden pondered for dozens of breaths before asking. Absolutely. If you don't believe me, you can go to the Dragon race, or I can help you contact the Dragon King. You can verify it yourself. Yi Chunfeng said. Yi Chunfeng, do you know that the alliance between the three races is already set in stone? It's hard to change it. The Feather Moon Holy Maiden whispered. I know, but you can't jump into a fire pit when you know it's right in front of you. Yi Chunfeng said, if my guess is correct, once the three races form an alliance, the Tian clan will definitely borrow the hands of the Demon clan to slowly erode our Human clan and Ancient clan. At that time, our two races will be in an even more dangerous situation. Okay, I know what you said. I will discuss it with you, Huashan. But I can't predict whether the Kunlun's sacred land and the ancients will believe it or not. The Feather Moon Holy Maiden took a deep breath and said, Senior, I have some connections with the ancients. As long as you tell me where I can find the leaders of the ancients, I'm sure I can persuade them. Yi Chunfeng said with confidence. Are you sure? The Feather Moon Holy Maiden was surprised. I'm sure. Yi Chunfeng nodded. Okay, I'll ask Yi Ming to take you to meet the leader of the ancients. The Feather Moon Holy Maiden wanted to refuse, but in the end, she agreed to help Yi Chunfeng meet the ancients. Many thanks, Senior. Yi Chunfeng revealed a hint of joy. Yi Chunfeng, the news you brought is shocking and important. But you have to know that once this news is exposed, you will be in danger. So, you must be careful. When Yi Chunfeng was about to leave, the Feather Moon Holy Maiden suddenly reminded him seriously. Don't worry, Senior. I'm tough. I'll be fine. Yi Chunfeng smiled confidently and said, By the way, I want to ask you about someone. Who? The Feather Moon Holy Maiden was thinking. Yu Nikhang. Have you heard of this name? Yi Chunfeng asked expectantly. No. The Feather Moon Holy Maiden said without hesitation. Okay, I'm a bit tired. You can leave now. Okay, then I'll wait for your good news. Hearing the Feather Moon Holy Maiden's order, Yi Chunfeng didn't stay in the ancient building for long. He turned around and left. P.S. I'm organizing an event on WeChat from time to time. Please add my WeChat account, YLTY83. Chapter 1925. Yiming, are you okay? Seeing the depressed Yu Yiming sitting on the stone bench with swollen cheeks, Yi Chunfeng revealed a faint smile as he walked over and asked, I don't know what happened to my mother. She's not like this normally. Yu Yiming said, Okay, don't be sad. Your mother wants you to take me to see the ancient race. Do you know where they are staying? Yi Chunfeng comforted Yu Yiming and asked, Yes, I will take you there. Yu Yiming nodded and used the emergent scripture to get rid of the red and swollen face. He then took Yi Chunfeng out of the Victory Palace and went to the Pure Flower Palace where the ancient race was staying. Standing on top of the ancient building, watching Yi Chunfeng and Yu Huashan leave, the Feather Moon Saint sighed. After hesitating for a while, she took out a communication formation disc and sent a message to Yu Huashan, who was in the Feather Palace, telling him what Yi Chunfeng had told her. However, just as the Feather Moon Saintess guessed, Yu Huashan didn't believe Yi Chunfeng at all. He ordered the Feather Moon Saintess to make the alliance happen. Brother Yi, what did you talk about with my mother? Yu Yiming asked curiously after leaving the Victory Palace. Sai, I won't hide it from you. I didn't come to ancient Sheng City to participate in the alliance banquet. I came to destroy the alliance between the three clans. Yi Chunfeng sighed softly. He didn't hide it from Yu Yiming anymore and told him the truth. Why is that? Yu Yiming raised his brows, revealing a look of surprise. Because I think the alliance is a scheme of the Sky Race. Yi Chunfeng told him about the Beast Race joining the Sky Race. This matter is too serious. Yu Yiming felt the seriousness of the situation. We have to stop it. We have to destroy the Sky Race's scheme. Sai, it's not hard to stop them, but it's not easy either. Yi Chunfeng sighed softly. It depends on whether you believe me or not. Brother Yi, do you think my mother will agree? Yu Yiming asked with a frown. My intuition tells me that your mother will agree, but Yu Huashan may not believe it, Yi Chenfeng said in a low voice. Then what should we do? Yu Yiming asked anxiously. Don't panic. As long as we can meet the ancient tribe leader, I have the confidence to convince him. Yi Chenfeng patted Yu Yiming's shoulder and said, Let's go. Let's hurry to Pure Flower's palace. After saying this, Yi Chenfeng and Wang Chong quickened their pace and headed for Pure Flower Palace, which was located at the foot of a mountain in the northern part of the city. Great Guardian, it's him. He's the one who killed the fifth young master. When Yi Chenfeng and Huang Xiaolong made their way to the Pure Flowers Palace, they were suddenly stopped by 6 black-robed Devil Clan experts who emitted powerful devil chi and murderous killing intent. Not good, it's the demons. Seeing the sudden appearance of the 6 demon race experts, Yu Yiming's expression changed. Yiming, stand aside and don't interfere. Leave everything to me. Although the great guardian of the devil race was a 2-star Dao ancestor, he posed no threat to Yi Chenfeng. After giving some instructions, he walked over alone. Brother, listen to me, don't interfere, Yi Chenfeng said solemnly without turning his head. Mother of Asterisk, you got guts. You actually dared to kill our 5th young master and our great guardian in front of everyone. I think you've eaten a bear's heart and leopard's guts. A tall and sturdy devil race expert who looked like a lion with disheveled golden hair said in a menacing voice, You've come to avenge those 2 pieces of trash? Yi Chenfeng knew that if he wanted to stop the alliance of the 3 races, he would definitely cause a huge uproar and have to face challenges from various races. Thus, he wasn't afraid of the devil race's provocation. You're courting death. The 1-star fiend ancestor had a fiery temper. With a roar, he summoned a dark golden saber that was incomparably heavy. Then, he chopped it down at Yi Chenfeng with a momentum that could split the sky and earth. You're too weak. In the eyes of ordinary people, a 1-star devil ancestor was absolutely a godlike existence. They couldn't be shaken, let alone contradicted. However, in the eyes of Yi Chenfeng, a 1-star devil ancestor was like a chicken that he could pinch to death with one hand. Yi Chenfeng didn't use any moves. Instead, he simply blasted out a punch. When Yi Chenfeng's fist collided with the saber, a force of more than 700 billion gene erupted, shattering the half-step ancestor's saber and shattering the void. Under the horrified gaze of the blonde man, he was sent flying into the air with a single punch. As the golden-haired devil ancestor let out a painful howl, his entire body was blown up by the crazy 700 billion gene of power. He turned into a cloud of blood mist in the air, and his soul was also shattered. Amazing, Brother Yi is too fierce. Witnessing the scene of Yi Chenfeng blowing up a 1-star devil ancestor with one punch, Yu Yiming revealed a look of excitement. However, the faces of the great guardian of the devil clan and the others turned livid. They found that they were far inferior to Yi Chenfeng. If Yi Chenfeng could blow up a 1-star Dao ancestor with one punch, it wouldn't be difficult for him to blow them up. Good. Boy, you've got guts. I'll spare you this time, but you won't be so lucky next time. After hesitating for a while, the great guardian of the devil clan left behind a ruthless sentence and wanted to leave with the frightened devil clan experts. There's no need for next time. This time, I'll kill you all together. The corners of Yi Chenfeng's mouth rose slightly, revealing a cold smile. He stood in front of the great guardian of the devil clan and the others, and said with a murderous intent, What? You want to kill us all? The great guardian of the devil clan said with an ugly expression. Can't I? Yi Chenfeng smiled and said overbearingly, They're just a few ants. It's no big deal to kill them. You. The proud and arrogant great guardian of the devil clan was about to explode with anger, but Yi Chenfeng's strength shocked him, making him very wary. Boy, although you're very strong, you have to remember that there are several ancestors of the devil clan in Chengdu City. If you kill us, you won't be able to survive. Seeing the murderous intent in Yi Chenfeng's eyes, the great guardian of the devil clan suddenly felt a headache. He had to use the ancestors of the devil clan to threaten Yi Chenfeng. Are you done? If you're done, let me send you to hell. In the face of the great guardian of the Devil Clan's threat, Yi Chunfeng was unmoved and said coldly, "Let escape." Sensing Yi Chunfeng's determination to kill him, the great guardian of the Devil Clan didn't say anything more. He burned his chi and blood at all costs, increasing his speed to the limit and turning into a bloody light to escape. However, the moment he escaped, the eye of the ancestral dragon cracked open on Yi Chunfeng's forehead and shot out endless light, attacking the great guardian of the Devil Clan. The light penetrated his defense and turned him into a sieve, killing him on the spot. The 2-star Devil Ancestor Great Guardian of the Devil Clan was instantly killed by Yi Chunfeng. The remaining Devil Clan's almighties were scared out of their wits and desperately fled into the distance. However, under the attack of the Eye of the Ancestral Dragon, the Devil Clan's almighties couldn't escape at all and were killed by the Eye of the Ancestral Dragon. Let's go to the Pure Flower Palace. Chapter 1926. Halt! This is the resting place of the ancient race. Outsiders are not allowed to approach. When Yi Chunfeng and Mo Tinga arrived at Pure Flower Palace, which was located beside the Green Hills, they were immediately stopped by several ancient clan guards. Yi Chunfeng took out the token that the ancient race had given him and slowly asked, "We have come to pay a visit to the ancient race patriarch. Is the ancient race patriarch in Pure Flower Palace?" Sacred ancient token. Looking at the medallion in Yi Chunfeng's hand, several ancient race guards immediately recognized it. This was the ancient sacred medallion, the highest grade of the ancient race. They revealed respectful expressions and said, "The clan head is currently in the Pure Flowers Palace. I will bring you two in." After saying that, the guard captain personally led Yi Chunfeng and Yi Qingyu into the Pure Flower Palace, which was filled with beautiful flowers and looked like a back garden. Reporting to clan leader, "A person who calls himself Yi Chunfeng is here to see you with this sacred ancient token." The captain of the guards came to Gu Yi's bedroom and reported respectfully. Yi Chunfeng, Gu Yi, who was drinking tea and chatting with the upper echelon of the ancient race, said with bright eyes, "Quickly let little friend Yi in." Chunfeng and Yu Yiming greet the ancient race patriarch. Walking into the bedroom, Yi Chunfeng and Yi Qingyu bowed respectfully to Gu Yi. "Chunfeng, there's no need for formalities between us." Gu Yi faintly smiled and said, "Right, this is..." Yu Yiming is the son of Feather Moon Holy Maiden. "He brought me here," Yi Chunfeng introduced. "So you're Feather Moon's son?" Gu Yi smiled and said, "If you didn't say it, I would have thought that the two of you were father and son." "Right, Chunfeng, why are you looking for me?" Gu Yi asked after having Yi Chunfeng and Gu Yi sit down. "I came to ancient Xingu City to stop the alliance between the three races," Yi Chunfeng said. "Stop the alliance? Why is that?" Gu Yi's brows were tightly knitted together as he asked in surprise. "Because this is the Tian clan's scheme." Yi Chunfeng continued to explain why the Shifter clan had joined the Tian clan, as well as his own analysis. This is what you said, true." After listening to Yi Chunfeng's explanation, Gu Yi and the others revealed shocked expressions, feeling the seriousness of the situation. "Absolutely. If you don't believe me, I will contact His Majesty the Dragon Emperor now. Then, you will know whether I am lying to you or not." Yi Chunfeng said as he took out the communication disc array that the Dragon Emperor had given him. "All right." Gu Yi nodded and said, "Then I'll have to trouble you to contact the Dragon Emperor." Buzz, buzz, buzz. As Yi Chunfeng continued to inject ancestral power into the communication disc array, the disc array reflected a large amount of white light. About half an hour later, the Dragon Emperor's voice sounded from the communication disc array. "Little friend Yi, you're looking for me? Your Majesty the Dragon Emperor, the ancient clan, is by my side. He wants to confirm something with you." Yi Chunfeng explained the situation in a simple manner. "Gu Yi, little friend, Yi did not lie to you. The Shifter clan has indeed joined the Tian clan, but according to my Dragon clan's investigation, the Phoenix God seems to be controlled by the Supreme God Heaven, which is why the Shifter clan is completely out of control. The Dragon Emperor and Gu Yi were old acquaintances, so he did not hide anything and revealed an important piece of information. If that's really the case, then there might be a problem with Yu Huashan, who single-handedly facilitated this alliance. Gu Yi felt the seriousness of the situation and said in a low voice, "After so many years of planning, the Tian clan has indeed controlled a lot of forces, and if the alliance between your three clans succeeds, the Tian clan will definitely be able to slowly devour your two clans with the help of the Shifter clan. At that time, the entire Void God realm will belong to the Tian clan," the Dragon Emperor said in a serious voice. "And it seems that this alliance must be destroyed." Gu Yi took a deep breath and said, "Dragon Emperor, thank you for the information. Don't worry, my ancient clan will definitely not wallow in the mire with the Tian clan. I will think of a way to destroy this alliance." Gu Yi, the Yuhua Palace cannot be trusted easily, but the human emperor of the Kunlun sacred ground is still trustworthy. If it doesn't work, you can find him to discuss the following countermeasures. The Dragon Emperor suggested. "All right, I will go visit the human emperor now and discuss countermeasures." After saying that, the worried Gu Yi ended the conversation with the Dragon Emperor. "Little friend Yi, thank you for bringing important information to my ancient clan. For your safety, you can stay in the Pure Flower Palace for a period of time. No one can harm you here." Gu Yi was afraid that the news would be exposed, and Yi Chanfeng would suffer the revenge of the Tian clan. So he suggested, "Thank you for your kindness, Gu clan leader. Then I will stay here for a period of time." Yi Chanfeng also wanted to know the result of the discussion between Gu Yi and the human emperor, so he nodded in agreement. And Yi Chanfeng intended to let Yu Yeming talk about the Feather Moon Holy Maiden and let him leave. Just as Gu Yi and the human emperor were discussing countermeasures, the demon clan, who had lost their ancestor realm almighties one after another, fell into a rage and searched the entire city for Yi Chinfeng's whereabouts. "What? That kid is hiding in the Pure Flower Palace. Could that kid be from the ancient clan?" The great elder of the demon clan, Amo Luohai, who was at the peak of the ancestor realm, was dressed in a black robe, and his entire body was wrapped in black devil chi. His eyes were sunken into his cheeks, and he gave off a ferocious feeling. "According to the informant we planted in the ancient clan, that person is not from the ancient clan, but he knows the ancient clan leader." The elder of the demon clan in charge of the news reported, "No matter what that person's identity is, he dared to kill my demon clan's young master and protector. I will definitely let him die without a burial ground." Mo Luohai coldly snorted and said with killing intent, "Tell my demon clan's informant to keep an eye on that kid's movements. As long as he leaves the Pure Flower Palace, immediately inform me." Ancient clan leader, how did your discussion with His Majesty, the human emperor, go? When Gu Yi returned to the Pure Flower Palace with a grave expression, Yi Chinfeng immediately found him and asked about the situation. "Sai, things might be more complicated than we thought." Gu Yi sighed softly and said, "According to the human emperor, Yu Huashan insisted on forming an alliance with the demon clan and our ancient clan. Therefore, if we want to break the alliance, we must find evidence that the demon clan is relying on the Tian clan in a short period of time. Otherwise, I'm afraid that we will be overreaching ourselves. Find evidence." Yi Chenfeng's brows were tightly knitted together as a myriad of thoughts flashed through his mind. "Ancient clan leader, according to your understanding, how is the relationship between the demon clan and the Tian clan?" Yi Chenfeng pondered for a moment and said, "The demon clan has always followed the Tian clan's lead. For the Tian clan to have such a huge power in the Void God realm, the demon clan has contributed a lot." Gu Yi said, "Then what if the demon clan stands out and points out this matter?" Yi Chenfeng's eyes rolled as he thought of a plan. "This is a bit difficult. It's impossible for the demon clan to betray the Tian clan." Gu Yi shook his head and said awkwardly, "Ancient clan leader, think of a way to persuade the human emperor to oppose this alliance, and I will think of a way to make the demon clan stand out and testify against the demon clan when the three clans form an alliance." Yi Chenfeng took a deep breath and promised, "Chenfeng, the demon clan is very terrifying, and the one who came to Shenggu City this time is the great elder of the demon clan, Mo Luohai." He is a peak ancestor realm almighty expert, and his strength is unfathomable. Even if I want to defeat him, I will need to use some methods. He warned in a serious tone. Don't worry, ancient clan leader, just wait for my good news. Yi Chunfeng revealed a mysterious smile and said solemnly, All right then, be careful. Chapter 1927. After a secret discussion, Yi Chunfeng stepped into the night and quietly left the Pure Flowers Palace. Like a ghost, he walked towards the outside of Xingu City. Because the devil race had been secretly paying attention to Yi Chunfeng, the news of him quietly going to the outside of Xingu City immediately reached Mo Luo Hai's ears. What? That little bastard wants to escape? Knowing that Yi Chunfeng was going to the outside of Xingu City, Mo Luo Hai's eyes revealed a cold glint. You killed my devil race's people and still want to walk away? You are too naive. Mo Xiang, come with me outside the city to wait for that little bastard. I will personally peel off his skin and see how bold he is to dare to kill my devil race's people. Mo Luo Hai crushed the jasper teacup in his hand and slowly stood up. Taking the burly Mo Xiang, who had reached the level of a 5-star devil ancestor, he left the temporary residence and arrived outside of Xingu City before Yi Chunfeng. The night was getting deeper and deeper, and the outside of Xingu City was quiet. Kacha kacha. Suddenly, the sound of branches breaking resounded. Wearing a black robe, Yi Chunfeng, who had completely merged with the night, came to a lush forest on the outskirts of Xingu City. He walked into the silent and terrifying forest. Yi Chunfeng glanced at the depths of the forest, and the corners of his mouth rose slightly. With a trace of coldness, he said, Don't hide, come out. And you found this ancestor? Hearing Yi Chunfeng's voice, Mo Luo Hai and Mo Xiang, who were hiding in the forest, came out from the lush shrubs and said with some surprise, Nonsense, otherwise why would I come to this forest? Yi Chunfeng said with a sneer. Interesting, really interesting. Mo Luo Hai said with a smile. I didn't expect that an ant like you could discover our existence. But since you found us, why didn't you run away? Feeling that Yi Chunfeng's aura was far inferior to his, Mo Luo Hai summoned a mysterious arrayed diagram to seal the entire space and said in a cold voice, Escape? Why should I run? Yi Chunfeng said faintly, You two are just chickens and pottery dogs. Are you worthy of me running? As he spoke, the 10 ancient ancestral flags appeared on Yi Chunfeng's body. They easily broke through the mysterious array diagram of the forbidden space and sealed the entire forest, preventing the outside world from knowing what was happening in the forest. Yes. Hearing the killing intent in Yi Chunfeng's voice and looking at the 4 ancient ancestral flags, Mo Luo and Hai both sensed an unusual aura. Let's capture this brat first. Mo Luo Hai didn't waste any more words. He attacked at the same time as the tall and sturdy devil statue, erupting with the power of ancestral rhyme. They attacked Yi Chunfeng with earth-shattering force, wanting to capture him alive. Mo Luo Hai and Mo Luo attacked. Yi Chunfeng didn't dodge, nor did he summon Shindaoshu and the others. Instead, he burned his Grand Mist blood and activated his invincible sword physique to meet them head-on. Sword Domain. Yi Chunfeng took a step forward. His invincible sword physique evolved to the extreme. His entire body turned into an invincible divine sword. A terrifying sword domain gushed out from his body, propping up the entire space. Ka-ka-ka. When Mo Luo Hai and Hai's attacks collided with the sword domain, they were immediately shattered by the incomparably sharp power of the domain. This is the power of a domain. As the Grand Elder of the Devil Race, Mo Luo Hai had come into contact with the Devil Race's virtual gods. He was familiar with the unique domain of a virtual god. When he felt Yi Chunfeng's sword domain, his eyes nearly popped out of their sockets. His heart trembled, and his clothes were instantly drenched in cold sweat. Could he be a half-step virtual god or a virtual god expert? After confirming that Yi Chunfeng's sword domain was the sword domain, Mo Luo Hai couldn't help but suspect that Yi Chunfeng was a virtual god expert in disguise. That's not right. His strength is 108,000 miles away from a half-step virtual god. Suppressing the fear in his heart, Mo Luo Hai repeatedly confirmed Yi Chunfeng's strength. After confirming that he wasn't a half-step virtual god, he let out a long sigh of relief. How'd you do it? You haven't even stepped into half-step virtual god realm. How can you condense a domain? Mo Luo Hai didn't expect Yi Chunfeng to be hiding such a secret. His gaze towards Yi Chunfeng turned fiery. If he could obtain Yi Chunfeng's secret, he felt that there was a high possibility that he could step into the virtual god realm and be invincible in the entire virtual god realm. Why don't you make a guess? Yi Chunfeng smiled and said, Brat, don't be arrogant. Wait till I capture you. I'm not afraid that you won't speak. After saying that, Mo Luo Hai and the demonic form attacked Yi Chunfeng from both sides. They wanted to suppress him and force him to reveal his secret. Yi Chunfeng intended to use Mo Luo Hai and the demonic form to test his combat strength. He deduced the 4 ancestral Dao diagrams to the extreme and summoned the flying celestial sword. He fused the ancestral sword soul into the flying celestial sword and forcefully raised the flying celestial sword attack power to that of a supreme grade ancestral weapon. Infinite chaos. When the attack power reached its peak, the Chaos Divine Tree's phantom appeared behind Yi Chunfeng. He slashed out with his sword, and the Chaos Divine Tree turned into a terrifying force of chaos. It fused with the 4 ancestral Dao diagrams, the sword domain, and the invincible sword body. The sword tore apart the demonic form's killer move and slashed towards its body. No, this is a supreme superpower. When the demonic form realized that its attack was instantly broken by the infinite chaos, it was so frightened that its hair stood on end. It summoned several defensive trump cards and desperately defended. However, Yi Chunfeng's attack was too terrifying. The demonic form's desperate attack couldn't block it. Boom! The limitless primal chaos bombarded the demonic avatar's strong body, shattering its body's defense and demi-ancestor battle armor. The demonic avatar was sent flying, crashing into a spatial barrier several hundred meters away. It turned into a cloud of blood mist and died on the spot. The invincible sword body and the sword domain are truly powerful. Yi Chunfeng didn't expect that with the invincible sword body and the sword domain, he would be able to kill a 5-star Dao ancestor with the infinite chaos. He revealed a satisfied smile. Black demonic disc. Mo Luo Hai realized that Yi Chunfeng's combat strength was far beyond his imagination. He had actually killed the demonic form of a 5-star Dao ancestor. He immediately summoned the high-grade ancestral artifact, the black demonic disc, and twisted the space around it to attack Yi Chunfeng. He wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to severely injure him. Dao of artifact control, life-death disc. The black demonic disc twisted the space around it and attacked. Yi Chunfeng immediately used the Dao of artifact control, activating the life-death disc's strongest power to meet the attack. Boom! When the 2 high-grade ancestral artifacts collided, they immediately destroyed the entire mountain forest that was protected by the ancient ancestral flags and razed the place to the ground. However, under the protection of the 10 ancient ancestral flags, the destructive force caused by the collision of the 2 high-grade ancestral artifacts did not alarm anyone. With my current combat strength, although I can kill a 5-star Dao ancestor, I'm far from being a match for a peak Dao ancestor. Bearing the destructive force caused by the collision of the 2 high-grade ancestral artifacts, Yi Chunfeng was sent flying hundreds of meters away. Streams of blood flowed from the corners of his mouth. Kid die. After injuring Yi Chunfeng with one blow, Mo Luo Hai pursued him, wanting to kill him in one go. Senior Divine Void, Senior Eternal Ancient, quickly help me suppress him. At this critical moment, Yi Chunfeng summoned the half-step virtual god stage Divine Void, Shun Eternal Ancient, to break Mo Luo Hai's attack. 2 half-step virtual gods. Sensing the aura of Divine Void and Shun Eternal Ancient, Mo Luo Hai revealed a look of deep fear. He finally knew why Yi Chen-feng was so calm when facing the two of them. With the protection of two half-step virtual gods, it would only take minutes to crush him. Who are you people? In the entire virtual god realm, there were not many half-step virtual god experts. Mo Luo Hai was terrified of Yi Chen-feng's identity. Suppress. Divine Void and Shun Eternal Ancient did not speak any nonsense. They summoned their powerful god's territory and crushed Mo Luo Hai's attack as easily as crushing dry weeds. They easily suppressed the powerless Mo Luo Hai and locked him in the universe mirror. P.S. Yinlei begs everyone to help click on the advertisement below the public account. Advertisement. Public account address, YLTY 83. Chapter 1928. Senior Divine Void. You cultivate the god-demon aspect. Can you disguise yourself as Mo Luo Hai? Yi Chen-feng briefly explained his plan to Shun Daoxiu and Mo Luo Hai. No problem. Shun Daoxiu was one of the 6 great ancestors of the god race and possessed many heaven-defying methods. He stared at the suppressed Mo Luo Hai and borrowed the power of the god-demon aspect to transform into him. What are you trying to do? Seeing Shun Daoxiu transform into him, Mo Luo Hai panicked, feeling as if he had stepped into a trap. Yi Chen-feng looked at Mo Luo Hai, who was sweating profusely and had fallen into a state of panic, and said, Don't panic. Because even if you panic, you still won't be able to escape death. I advise you not to act recklessly. Not only will killing me bring you no benefits, but you'll also be hunted down endlessly by my demon race. Mo Luo Hai gulped and brought up the demon race to pressure Yi Chen-feng. Wanted to make Yi Chen-feng hesitate. Aren't you too naive? Who would know that your death had something to do with me? Yi Chen-feng laughed. My demon race's people all know that the demon aspect and I are preparing to kill you. If we don't return, the demon race's people will definitely suspect you. Mo Luo Hai suppressed the panic in his heart. Who says you won't return? Yi Chen-feng smiled and controlled the illusion ancestor level Dao diagram to transform into the demon aspect. What do you want to let me go? Seeing Yi Chen-feng and Shun Daoxiu transform into himself and the demon aspect, Mo Luo Hai despaired, his tone softening by 3 degrees. Why should I let you go? Yi Chen-feng asked back. All right, don't worry. You still have some value now, so I'll naturally spare your life. Once you're no longer of any value, it won't be too late for me to kill you then. Yi Chen-feng summoned the Chaos Divine Tree and took root in Mo Luo Hai's body, forcibly sealing his entire body. Then, Yi Chen-feng circled behind Mo Luo Hai, using the God Eater Brain to search Mo Luo Hai's soul and memories. As expected, this alliance is not simple. It would be fine if the alliance succeeds, but if it fails, the celestial race's faux gods might appear. Although Mo Luo Hai was not too clear about the true scheme of the Tian clan, Yi Chen-feng was still able to deduce some important things through a portion of the information. No matter what, we have to destroy this alliance. Otherwise, the Void God realm will definitely change. Yi Chen-feng clenched his fists and secretly made up his mind. Chaos Divine would devour. After learning the important information in Mo Luo Hai's Soul Sea, Yi Chen-feng immediately controlled the Chaos Divine would to devour Mo Luo Hai's ancestral force, shattering his Saint Core and crippling Mo Luo Hai's peak ancestor realm cultivation. 3 Chaos Divine Fruits. After devouring Mo Luo Hai's Saint Core, Yi Chen-feng discovered that the Chaos Divine would had condensed into 3 Chaos Divine Fruits. He was not stingy and plucked 3 Chaos Divine Fruits, giving them to the peak evil ancestor, Fation ancestor, and Chaos Divine Beast so that they could increase their strength as soon as possible to deal with the dangers that might appear at any time. Brat, I won't let you go even if I become a ghost. Mo Luo Hai's several 100,000 years of cultivation was destroyed in a single day, turning old in an instant. He glared at Yi Chen-feng with bloodshot eyes. Become a ghost? Are you dreaming? Do you think I will send an executioner like you into the reincarnation cycle? Yi Chunfeng sneered. Your soul will scatter. You can't. Mo Luo Hai was completely afraid and wanted to commit suicide. But in the universe realm, the crippled Mo Luo Hai had no chance to commit suicide. Yi Chunfeng controlled the universe realm to seal him, rendering him immobile. Senior Shun Su, let's go back to avoid the demon race's suspicions. Yi Chunfeng left Mo Luo Hai, who was constantly cursing, in the first level of the universe realm. He left the universe realm with Shun Daoxiu, took back the 10 great ancient ancestral flags, and the formation plate left behind by Mo Luo Hai in the forbidden space. He stepped into the night and quietly returned to ancient Sage City, back to the white stone palace where the devil race temporarily stayed. Great Elder, Elder Xiang, why did you come back empty-handed? Did you fail? Seeing Yi Chunfeng and Shun Daoxiu return empty-handed, the demon race's almighty experts did not see through their disguise and asked in confusion. Sigh, we underestimated that brat. Someone is waiting for him outside the city. Yi Chunfeng imitated Demon Xiang's voice and sighed softly. Waiting for him outside the city? Great Elder, do you know his identity? The demon race's third elder asked in surprise. No, the person who is waiting for that brat is very strong. Demon Xiang and I almost fell into their trap. Shen Daoxiu imitated Mo Luo Hai's voice and said, Great Elder, do you think some accident will happen to their three-race alliance? Demon Third Elder smelled a trace of an unusual aura and said worriedly, Accident? What accident can happen? Shen Daoxiu continued imitating Mo Luo Hai's voice and said indifferently, All of this is under the celestial race's control. No one can stir up big waves. All right, Demon Xiang and I just suffered some internal injuries. We'll go heal first. If there's nothing special, don't disturb our healing. Shen Daoxiu warned coldly, then left with Yi Chunfeng, who had disguised himself as a demon. Due to Yi Chunfeng and Shen Daoxiu's disguises being too similar, even Demon Third Elder did not see through the difference and did not suspect their identities. Time passed day by day. As the date of the three-race alliance got closer and closer, the entire Xingu City became more and more lively. In the end, the crowded Xingu City directly closed the city gates. Only experts above God rank, or people with extraordinary status, could enter Xingu City. As they approached the three-race alliance, Yi Chunfeng secretly contacted Gu Yi and communicated the latest situation and developments. Finally, the date of the three-race alliance arrived. Xingu City also opened the sky platform that had been worn out for tens of thousands of years and floated above the entire Xingu City. Let's go to the sky platform. Early in the morning, Yi Chunfeng, disguised as Mo Luo Hai and Mo Luo Hai, and Shen Daoxiu led a group of demon race experts and flew to the sky platform. And that person is... When flying to the sky platform, a man wearing a green robe and a white crown, giving people a kind of scholarly feeling, entered his eyes. Although this scholarly man looked harmless, Yi Chunfeng still felt an extremely terrifying aura from his body. Senior, do you know the scholarly man in the green robe who is sitting on the side of Ascension Palace? Yi Chunfeng asked Shen Daoxiu through voice transmission. That person is the master of Ascension Palace, Yu Huashen. This person is extremely talented. In the ancient times, he was the most outstanding person in the Void God rank, and had entered the Empty God realm long ago. Shen Daoxiu replied through voice transmission. Yu Huashen, it is really him. Why is he here? Yi Chunfeng originally thought that Feather Moon Holy Lady would be in charge of the alliance. He did not expect Yu Huashen to appear on the day of the alliance. Is this Yu Huashen really related to the Sky Tribe? Yu Huashen's appearance was not normal. This made Yi Chunfeng suspect his relationship with the Sky Tribe. Not long after, the ancient tribe, demon race, and Kunlun sacred ground people arrived. The person who represented the demon race to participate in the alliance was not Golden Rock, great demonic ancestor. Instead, It was a giant man who was filled with destructive energy. This man was the king of the beast tribe of the demon race, the mighty ape who had just entered the empty god realm. All right, since the ancient tribe leader, mighty ape, great demonic ancestor, and the human king are here, let's not waste time and start the alliance. Yu Huashan, who had replaced Feather Moon Holy Lady to host the alliance ceremony, said in a gentle voice. Wait, Yu Huashan, I have a question for the demon race. Chapter 1929. Gu Clan Leader, what do you want to ask me? The mighty ape god, who was burly and gave off a sense of oppression, took a big gulp of high-quality spiritual tea. His voice was as loud as a drum. This time, our three clans have formed an alliance in order to break the structure of the Void God realm and jointly resist the threat of the Tian clan. However, according to my understanding, one of our three clans has secretly sided with the Tian clan. Gu Yi's finger lightly tapped on the table as he slowly said, That's right. I've heard about it too. The emperor, who had reached a consensus with Gu Yi, nodded his head. Everyone should know that if this is true, the consequences will be dire. The Sky Tribe might be behind this. Do you mean that the Demon Tribe is the one who has secretly sided with the Sky Tribe? The mighty ape god's expression did not change as he said slowly, Isn't it? Gu Yi's voice suddenly turned cold. Not long ago, I messaged the Dragon Emperor. The Dragon Emperor told me that the Sky Tribe is behind the change in the Dragon Tribe, and the Demon Tribe is helping them. Whoosh! Hearing Gu Yi's tit-for-tat words, the experts from the various clans and forces who had come to the Sky platform to participate in the alliance ceremony were in an uproar. They all looked at the calm, mighty ape god. Gu Clan Leader, I don't know why you're targeting the Demon Tribe, or are you trying to kick us out of the alliance? However, the Demon Tribe is not someone you can slander. Whoever dares to slander the Demon Tribe is the enemy of the Demon Tribe. The Demon Tribe will not let him off. The mighty ape god's eyes turned red as he glared at Gu Yi furiously. Gu Yi had just stepped in a half-step to empty God realm not long ago. He could not withstand the glare of the mighty ape god, who was an empty god. His face flushed red and his soul trembled. He felt so uncomfortable that he wanted to vomit blood. Ape King, aren't you going overboard? Do you think you can threaten the king of the ancient tribe? Suddenly, an extremely old voice was heard. An old man in a linen robe walked in the air slowly. His every move resonated with the heaven and earth. He looked kind but gave off a sharp feeling. He appeared beside Gu Yi. Grand Elder, you're here. Seeing the sudden arrival of the linen-robed old man, Gu Yi did not dare to be careless. He immediately stood up and spoke respectfully. Gu Taiyong, have you broken through to virtual god level? The divine ape demon emperor frowned slightly as he looked at Gu Taiyong, who was sitting beside Gu Yi. Even you have broken through to the virtual god realm. Since I is older than you, shouldn't he break through as well? Gu Taiyong said with a smile. Grand Elder Gu, I didn't expect that this alliance would even alarm you. Yu Huashan revealed a faint smile. There was not a trace of change in expression on his scholarly face. Gu Taihong shook his head and said shockingly, No, I'm not here to join the alliance. I'm here to stop it. If the three clans form an alliance, the Gu clan will withdraw. Withdraw. A subtle change of expression appeared on Yu Huashan's calm face. Grand Elder Gu, it's not good for your Gu clan to withdraw for no reason in front of so many people. We are not withdrawing for no reason. As for the reason, the Gu clan leader has already said that we do not trust the monster clan. Gu Taihong shook his head and said, Gu Taihong, don't think that you can frame me just because you've broken through to the empty god realm. If you anger me, I won't forgive you. The mighty ape god had a fiery temper as he glared at Gu Taihong with his blood-red eyes. Why? The monster clan has become the Sky clan's dog. Can't I say anything? The Gu clan and the Sky clan were enemies. Facing the Sky clan's dog, Gu Taihong did not back down. Just as Gu Taihong and the divine ape demon emperor were arguing, the master of the Kunlun sacred ground, the human emperor, said, The Kunlun's sacred ground will withdraw from this alliance as well. Human emperor, why are you doing this? Yu Huashan frowned and asked in a low voice. I believe in the Gu clan leader. He will not accuse the monster clan easily. The human emperor looked at the furious divine ape demon emperor and said, All right, I understand now. This time, the two clans are not sincere in forming an alliance. You just want to use this opportunity to suppress the monster clan and humiliate us. The divine ape demon emperor could ignore Gu Taihong's threat, but he had to fear the human emperor. The human emperor could be said to be the most outstanding person in the human clan. It was said that he was even more powerful than Yu Huashan. He was the only emperor in the hearts of billions of human almighties. Gu clan leader, human emperor, have you been deceived? If the three clans do not form an alliance, we will be defeated by the Sky Clan one by one. By then, there will be no place for us in the virtual god world. Yu Huashan advised in a low voice as thoughts flashed through his mind. Yu Huashan, it is not the Gu clan leader and the human emperor who have been deceived. It is you who have been deceived. Just then, Emo Luohai, who was disguised as a virtual god, stood up slowly and said loudly, I can prove that the monster clan is the Sky Clan's dog. Wow. Looking at Emo Luohai, who had publicly exposed the divine ape, not only were the demon clan's people dumbfounded, the divine ape and the other monster clan's almighties were also dumbfounded. Everyone knew that the demon clan and the Sky Clan had always been on good terms. They were even vassals of the Sky Clan. The appearance of the demon clan at the feast of the three clans was more or less related to the Sky Clan. But now, the great elder of the demon clan, Emo Luohai, had publicly exposed the monster clan. This made many people feel that something was not right. Emo Luohai, do you know what you were saying? The divine ape said somewhat angrily. Of course I know what I am saying. Shun Daoshu ignored the divine ape's angry gaze and said, I am even more clear about the truth behind the three clans alliance. The real mastermind behind the three clans alliance is the Sky Clan that you have declared to be against. Emo Luohai, you have big dog guts. You actually dare to slander this emperor. I see that you have eaten a bear's heart and a leopard's guts. The divine ape angrily roared. Yu Huashan also did not expect this to happen. The great elder of the demon clan stood out to accuse the monster clan. This was something that he had never expected. What happened to the great elder? Why does it seem like he has changed into a different person? Could it be that there is some secret behind this? The great elders of the demon clan guessed in disbelief. Slander? Shen Daoshu smiled. According to the plan that he had discussed with Yi Chenfeng, he said, Divine Ape, do you dare to swear that your monster clan did not side with the Sky Clan? All right, I remember one more thing. The Chaos Tomb seems to have appeared in your monster clan. The Sky Clan is pushing the three clans alliance behind the scenes. Could it be that they want to draw attention away so that they can take the Chaos Tomb for themselves? The Chaos Tomb. Hearing Shun Daoshu's words, everyone's attention was attracted. The entire sky platform became noisy. The Desolate Tomb was the most mysterious tomb in the entire universe. It rarely appeared, but it was rumored that the unrivaled lucky chances within the Desolate Tomb were no worse than the ancient Starry Skies Road. Whoever could obtain the lucky chances within the Desolate Tomb would have a much higher chance of becoming a divinity than others. The Chaos Tomb really appeared in the monster clan? The human emperor looked at Emo Luohai with shining eyes. It is absolutely true. This is also the reason why the Sky Clan is secretly controlling the monster clan. They want to seal off the monster clan and take the Chaos Tomb for themselves. Shen Daoshu nodded and said, Emo Luohai, I think you're crazy. I will kill you today. The divine ape was flustered and exasperated. He was about to kill Emo Luohai, who was disguised as Shen Daoshu. What? Are you angry because your true identity was exposed? Gu Taihong said in a low voice as he stood in front of the mighty ape god, who was burly and exuded a powerful physical pressure. Ape Emperor, since the plan has been exposed, let's not talk nonsense with them. Let's kill them first. Chapter 1930. Fa Tianzu. Fa Tianzu was very famous in the sky race. Many people knew him. His appearance confirmed that the monster race had joined the sky race. Fat Ian, haven't you already pledged your allegiance to that human brat? Why are you here? The sky upholding divine, Ape's eyelids twitched violently. He rolled his blood-red eyes and glared at Fa Tian, who had suddenly appeared. Now, he finally knew that someone was behind all of this. That person was most likely Yi Chunfeng, the one who saved the dragon race. All right, Ape Emperor, stop acting. Our leader told me to tell you that the plan has changed. He wants you to leave immediately, Fa Tian Zhu said loudly. With that, Fa Tian Zhu flew out of the castle in the sky without hesitation. When he flew out of the castle in the sky, he disappeared mysteriously as if he had evaporated. Qing Tian, what do you have to say now? Gu Yi and Ren Huang stood up and glared at the tall and sturdy ape god as they said angrily. Yu Huashan's face darkened. However, no one knew what he was thinking. Let's go, Qing Tian. Since they don't want to form an alliance, then forget it. At this moment, an ordinary-looking old man in a dark gray robe stood up in an inconspicuous corner. He stepped into the air and arrived next to the furious ape god. You want to leave? Not so easy. The ancient race and the human emperor were going to use this chance to suppress the ape god and weaken the monster race so that they could ask about the Desolate tomb. Humph, I want to take the monster race away. You can't stop him. The old man in gray snorted and said overbearingly, Is that so? Then let me see what you're capable of. The human emperor snorted and didn't back down. As his power grew stronger, many golden dragons broke out of his body and circled around him. 9 dragons, Emperor's spell. Seeing the 9 golden dragons around the human emperor, the old man in gray didn't change his expression. He said indifferently, All right, let me see the power of the Kunlun Holy Land's #1 super spell. Senior Shinshu, let's go. After successfully destroying the alliance between the 3 races, Yi Chunfeng didn't stay for long. He immediately took advantage of the chaos and flew out of the sky platform with Shun Daoxiu. Sweeping a glance in the direction that Yi Chunfeng and the other 2 had left, the gray-clothed elder gave a look and immediately had 3 other seemingly ordinary men follow them, leaving the chaotic ancient Shingu city. 9 dragons break the pole. While the gray-robed old man was distracted, the human sovereign immediately seized the opportunity. The 9 golden dragons around him attacked at the same time. They turned into 9 streaks of golden light and attacked the gray-robed old man. They wanted to use this opportunity to heavily injure him. Space of destruction. 9 golden dragons that were evolving profound Dao insights attacked. The space in front of the gray-robed old man was suddenly destroyed. The terrifying power of destruction was constantly destroying the 9 golden dragons, not giving them a chance to get close. 8th level of the spatial laws. The human sovereign looked at the continuously destroyed space in front of the gray-robed old man. A dazzling golden light shone from his palm. With a wave of his palm, the chaotic space was cut open by this unparalleled sword light. It cut through the destructive space that was blocking the 9 golden dragons and slashed toward the gray-robed old man. Seeing this unparalleled sword light slashing the gray-robed old man's body, his old body suddenly underwent an earth-shattering change. The time in front of him suddenly stopped. In the next moment, he fused with the powerful power of space and blasted a punch at the golden sword light that had cut open the space, directly shattering the golden sword light. You are supreme God Heaven. Seeing the gray-robed old man shatter the golden sword light with a single punch, the human sovereign's heart was in turmoil. Through the changes and Dao insights of that punch, he vaguely guessed the gray-robed old man's identity. Supreme God Heaven. As soon as the human sovereign's voice fell, almost everyone's eyes were focused on the gray-robed old man. Supreme God Heaven, clan leader Shun Tian, was known as the #1 person in the Void God realm. He was the person in the entire universe most likely to become a god. Not bad, not bad. You have good eyesight. I didn't expect you to recognize me. The ordinary-looking gray-robed old man smiled slightly. The illusory light on his body disappeared, revealing a face that was as sharp as a knife. His deep eyes revealed a domineering look. Supreme God Heaven, I didn't expect you to come. The alliance between our 3 clans failed. Your scheme didn't succeed. Are you disappointed? Although supreme God Heaven's strength was terrifying, the human sovereign also had his own trump cards. He believed that it would be difficult for supreme God Heaven to kill him in the end. I really didn't expect that the alliance this time would be destroyed by an ant. Supreme God Heaven said with a calm expression. However, you formed an alliance in front of everyone and wanted to go against my Tian clan. Shouldn't I teach you a painful lesson? Oomph. If your original body was here, you would have a strength. Unfortunately, you're only a clone now. The human sovereign's deep eyes shot out billions of rays of light, seeing through supreme God Heaven's reality, as he said in a low voice. Haha, this God's clone can still sweep all of you away. Supreme God Heaven laughed arrogantly and said, Qing Tian, quickly take the people of the demon clan and leave. Leave these people to me. I will teach them a painful lesson. All right. The ape god worshipped supreme God Heaven and immediately left the sky platform with the people of the demon clan. The threat of supreme God Heaven's clone was too great, so the human sovereign, Gu Taihong, and the others did not stop them. They were prepared to deal with supreme God Heaven with all their might. All of you, come at me together. I hope your strength won't disappoint this god. Although the supreme God Heaven in front of him was only a clone, his tone was still extremely arrogant. He did not put the two human sovereigns and Gu Taihong in his eyes at all. Don't worry, I won't disappoint you. The human sovereign's pupils contracted into the most dangerous pinhole shape. The Kunlun's sacred grounds sect treasure, the human sovereign's sword, which shone with a golden light, appeared in his body. When a human sovereign held the human sovereign sword in his hand, his aura underwent an earth-shattering change. Torrential king's chi gushed out of his body, causing the space within a few miles to vibrate. When a human sovereign summoned the human sovereign sword, the void god Gu Taihong of the ancient race and Yu Huashan also summoned their powerful void god artifacts. Seeing the three ethereal god artifacts that could suppress everything, the almighties on the sky platform were scared out of their wits. They were afraid that they would be swept away by the destructive power of the three ethereal god artifacts and lose their lives. Slash! With a thought, the human sovereign slashed down with the human sovereign sword in his hand. At the same time, Gu Taihong and Yu Huashan also used their powerful ethereal god artifacts to attack Supreme God Heaven's clone. They wanted to work together to crush his clone and counterattack Supreme God Heaven. However, Supreme God Heaven's clone was too terrifying. He had completely merged with the void and turned into a heaven and earth. He borrowed the power of heaven and earth to block the attacks of the three ethereal god artifacts. Boom! The three ethereal god artifacts smashed down at the same time, shattering everything. The sky platform that was floating in midair was reduced to dust, and the entire ancient sage city was shaken. This battle had shocked the entire void god world and attracted the attention of everyone. This battle was so intense that it would be recorded in the annals of history. Just as Supreme God Heaven's clone was using his invincible superpower to turn into the sky and fight against the three ethereal gods with ethereal god artifacts, Yi Chenfeng and Shun Daoshu left the chaotic ancient sage city at lightning speed. They were ready to go through the wormhole and head to the Death Sea. Chapter 1931. Chenfeng, someone is following us. After leaving ancient sage city, Shun Daoshu's powerful soul force sensed three faintly discernible auras closely following them. The celestial race's scheme has been ruined by us, so they naturally want to get rid of us to vent their anger. Yi Chenfeng smiled and said, but if the Nihility gods don't come out, the others will only be sending themselves to their deaths. Let's go, Senior Divine Void. Let's find a beautiful place to make their graves. After speaking, Yi Chenfeng and Shun Daoshu increased their flying speed, flying toward the layers of green mountains outside ancient Sage City at an extremely fast speed. Yi Chenfeng and Shun Daoshu had just flown into the rolling mountains when the three celestial race almighties increased their flying speed, wanted to get rid of Yi Chenfeng and Shun Daoshu in the mountains. However, Yi Chenfeng and Shun Daoshu's flying speed was too fast. The three of them increased their flying speed to the limit, but they were unable to catch up to Yi Chanfeng and Shen Daoxiu in a short while. The valley ahead is not bad. Senior Divine Void, let's get rid of the three of them in the valley ahead. Yi Chanfeng flew for more than 6 hours in the endless mountain range. He was far away from Xingu City. In the depths of the mountain range, he discovered a secluded valley. He immediately flew in with Shen Daoxiu. After flying into the valley, Yi Chanfeng immediately summoned the 10 great ancient ancestral flags and controlled them to merge into this extremely secluded valley with towering ancient trees, waiting for the arrival of the 3 celestial race almighties. Mo Luo Hai, why aren't you two running away? In less than 10 breaths, the 3 celestial race almighties flew into the valley with extremely fast speeds, surrounding Yi Chanfeng and Shen Daoxiu in the middle. Mo Luo Hai, Shen Daoxiu smiled and said, Tianhong, look at who I is. Saying this, Shen Daoxiu dispersed the illusion formed by the celestial demon avatar and returned to his true appearance. You're Shen Daoxiu. You're actually still alive. Seeing the familiar appearance of Shen Daoxiu, the Grand Elder of the Divine Sky Clan, Tianhong, who was at the half-step Nihility God Realm, immediately recognized him. His turbid eyes shot out rays of light, revealing a look of surprise. If I don't kill all of you executioners, how can I bear to die? The Supreme Elder of the Divine Sky Race, Tianhong, was one of the executioners of the Destruction God Race in the past. His hands were stained with the blood of many God Race clansmen. Looking at his great enemy, Shen Daoxiu revealed a strong killing intent. Interesting, I didn't expect that there would still be survivors of the God Race that haven't died yet in the Void God Realm. This is truly a good harvest. Although Shen Daoxiu was one of the Protoss Grand Ancestors, Tianhong was a half-step virtual god. He did not take Shen Daoxiu seriously at all. Tianhong, do you think you can still leave this place alive? Shen Daoxiu's killing intent was chilling. Haha, Shen Daoxiu, this world no longer belongs to your Shen clan. It belongs to my Tian clan. You too want to overturn the heavens? Tianhong laughed arrogantly. Tianhong, I wonder if you have I with you. Do you still have the confidence to win? A deep voice suddenly sounded in the universe mirror. Sensing Tianhong's terrifying strength, Yi Chanfeng summoned Shun Henggu out of the universe mirror. Shun Henggu, you're not dead either. Looking at the outstanding Shun Henggu with his fluttering clothes, the smile on Tianhong's face froze. Shun Henggu was known as the leader of the 6 grand ancestors of the God Race. If it were not for the great change in the God Race, with his strength, he would definitely be able to step into the virtual God realm. You want me to die so badly? Shun Henggu smiled and said, but it's a pity that I's life is more tenacious, and I'm afraid you're about to die. With that, Shen Daoxiu and Shun Henggu did not waste any more words. Wielding the Shun Henggu sword and the Death Scythe, they attacked the half-step virtual god Tianhong from the left and right, wanting to kill him together. Shen Daoxiu, leave Shun Henggu to me. Quickly go and capture that brat. Don't let him escape. Unexpectedly encountering an almighty from the God Race who was not dead made Tianhong smell a trace of something unusual. He shouted at the 2 6-star heavenly ancestors. Okay. The 2 6-star heavenly ancestors quickly summoned their 2 superior-grade ancestral artifacts and activated their powerful bloodline power. They mobilized powerful heaven and earth power into their bodies and attacked Yi Chanfeng. Evil ancestor at the peak, come out quickly. Yi Chanfeng did not immediately reveal his trump card. Instead, with a thought, he summoned the evil ancestor, who had an immortal body and was only 1 step away from breaking through to the half-step virtual god level. The evil ancestor crushed the attacks of the 2 great 6-star heavenly ancestors as easily as crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood, forcing the 2 of them to retreat. Evil ancestor, how is this possible? Why do you have an almighty evil ancestor protecting you? Encountering an almighty from the God Race who was not dead had already surprised Tianhong. When he saw the evil ancestor at the peak, who was surrounded by a powerful evil aura, appear, his heart was in turmoil. He revealed a look of disbelief. One had to know that the evil ancestor should have been killed by Shun Hungu with the help of the universal sword. He should have died long ago in this world. Even if the evil ancestor was not dead, he should have submitted to the divine race and not a two-star ancestor realm brat. Who is this brat? How can he control the evil ancestor? Tianhong increasingly felt that Yi Chunfeng was not simple. He was definitely hiding a shocking secret. Just as the half-step virtual god Tianhong was distracted by the appearance of the evil ancestor at the peak, Shun Daoxiu and Shun Hungu seized the opportunity and continuously attacked him with powerful killing moves. Celestial Demon Goblin Dharma Idol. Shun Daoxiu instantly transformed into a three-headed avatar, tripling his battle prowess. He wielded the supreme quality ancestral artifact, the Divine Void Sword, and unleashed a barrage of destructive attacks, tearing through Tianhong's attacks and forcing him back step by step. Space Precepts, Space Black Hole. As Tianhong retreated, Shun Hungu struck out with the seven heavens of space precepts. Controlling the powerful space power, he formed a bottomless black hole that swallowed everything in the world and attacked Tianhong. Celestial Demon, Celestial Form. Celestial Demon, Celestial Fist. At this critical moment, Tianhong transformed into his strongest celestial demon body. With a step, he transformed into a heaven domain and blasted out destructive punches, shattering space and shaking the incoming black hole. Under the attack of the heaven domain, the black hole formed by Shun Hungu's seven heaven shattered. The celestial demon Celestial Forms attack was also destroyed by the heaven domain. Humph, you're the only one who has mastered a domain. After his attacks were destroyed by the heaven domain, Shun Hungu immediately used an even more profound god domain, supporting the entire space and attacking Tianhong's heaven domain without any regard for the cost. When the two incomplete domains collided, cracks formed in the two domains, placing immense pressure on Shun Hungu and Tianhong. As Tianhong relied on his powerful foundation to forcefully repair his shattered heaven domain, Shun Daoxiu once again condensed a god domain, slamming into Tianhong's heaven domain and shattering it. Tianhong suffered a massive backlash from the domain, damaging all his meridians and staining the sky with blood. You forced me to do this. Now that he was injured, Tianhong immediately took out a black pill and swallowed it. He used the violent energy of this pill to forcefully suppress his injuries and rapidly increase his strength. Tianhong, I advise you to stop this pointless struggle. It's useless. You won't be able to escape death today. Although Tianhong was infinitely close to the Nihility God realm with the help of the mysterious black pill, Shun Hungu was not afraid of the Nihility God realm at all. Wielding two supreme ancestral artifacts, Shun Hungu attacked him from the left and right, suppressing him with all his strength. Chapter 1932. 3000 Transforming Divinity Fist. While Divine Tao Void and Divine Eternity worked together to suppress Heavenly Flood, Yi Chunfeng, who had burned his primordial blood and fused with the Divine Blood Bead, blasted out a supreme divine ability under the protection of the peak evil ancestor. After breaking through to the two-star Tao ancestor realm, Yi Chunfeng had basically grasped the strongest power of the 3000 Transforming Divinity Fist. Once he struck out, it could instantly transform into 3000 fist lights that bombarded the two six-star heavenly ancestors like a meteor shower. Celestial Demon Form, Sky-Breaking Strike. In the face of Yi Chunfeng's 3000 Transforming Divinity Fist, the two six-star heavenly ancestors transformed into celestial demons and blasted out attacks that could destroy the sky. Like a surging river, they met the 3000 Transforming Divinity Fist head-on and forcibly blocked Yi Chunfeng's ultimate killing move, Heretical God Hand. When the two six-star heavenly ancestors relied on their absolute strength to break through Yi Chunfeng's 3000 Transforming Divinity Fist, the peak evil ancestor transformed into a giant palm that blotted out the sky and seemed to breathe in the sun and moon. It descended from the sky and grabbed at the two six-star heavenly ancestors who had just broken through Yi Qinfeng's attack. Puff puff. Although the two six-star heavenly ancestors used their two high-grade ancestral artifacts to block the destructive attack of the heretical god hand, they were still injured by the powerful force released by the heretical god hand. Large amounts of blood sprayed out of their mouths. After one heretical god hand was destroyed, the peak evil ancestor formed a second heretical god hand that grabbed at the two. At this time, Yi Qinfeng also split open the ancestral dragon's eye and attacked one of the more seriously injured six-star heavenly ancestors. Puff! After being attacked by the ancestral dragon's eye, the six-star heavenly ancestor's body trembled and his injuries worsened. At this time, the peak evil ancestor's second heretical god hand came down and crushed his body. Good fortune cannon, repair. With his body crushed and turned into a bloody mist, the six-star heavenly ancestor stimulated his mysterious bloodline and operated the good fortune cannon to rapidly repair his broken body. Chaos Divine Wood, devour. Seeing that the six-star heavenly ancestor's body had been repaired, Yi Qinfeng summoned the Chaos Divine Wood. He controlled the Chaos Divine Wood to extend tens of thousands of five-colored roots, which broke into the six-star heavenly ancestor's broken body and madly devoured his saint core and bloodline. Chaos Divine Wood, your Yi Qinfeng. In the past, Yi Qinfeng had revealed the primal Chaos Divine Tree at the 100 Battles Martial Assembly, shocking the entire Void God realm. Many people knew about him, and many more wanted to kill him to seize the #1 divine tree in the universe. Therefore, when Yi Qinfeng summoned the Chaos Divine Wood, Tian Hong and the others immediately knew his identity. "That's right, it's me," Yi Qinfeng replied domineeringly. He controlled the Chaos Divine Wood to devour everything in a frenzy. "No, save me." Under the devouring of the Chaos Divine Wood, the severely injured six-star heavenly ancestor's body was shattered once again. The saint core in his body was constantly losing energy. Feeling the threat of death from the Chaos Divine Wood, the six-star heavenly ancestor was terrified and cried for help. However, Tian Hong's attack was completely suppressed by Shun Dao and Su Su. The other six-star heavenly ancestor was forced into a perilous situation by the peak evil ancestor and was forced to retreat. There was no way to save him. In the end, the Chaos Divine would devour the six-star heavenly ancestor and condensed two Chaos Divine fruits. Chaos Divine fruits. This Chaos Divine would must be obtained. Seeing that the Chaos Divine would had actually formed two Chaos Divine fruits, Tian Hong's heart burned with passion. He had a feeling that if he could snatch the Chaos Divine Wood and offer it to the Supreme God Sky, he would definitely receive an unimaginable reward. He might even be able to step into the empty God realm. Peak evil ancestor, suppress him for me. After controlling the Chaos Divine Wood to devour a six-star heavenly ancestor, Yi Qinfeng immediately ordered the peak evil ancestor to suppress the other six-star heavenly ancestor. Under the fearless attacks of the peak evil ancestor, the six-star heavenly ancestor's injuries worsened. In the end, the peak evil ancestor suppressed him. Chaos Divine Wood, devour. At this time, Yi Qinfeng controlled the Chaos Divine Wood to appear above the struggling six-star heavenly ancestor. He controlled the indestructible five-colored roots to attack the six-star heavenly ancestor's body. He wanted to break into the six-star heavenly ancestor's body and devour his saint core and bloodline. Sky-piercing sacred flame, burn. Sensing the threat of the Chaos Divine Wood, the six-star heavenly ancestor, who was being suppressed by the peak evil ancestor, burned the sky-piercing sacred flame he had subdued. He wanted to use the sky-piercing sacred flame to melt the five-colored roots. However, as the Chaos Divine would continue to grow and became comparable to a supreme-grade ancestral artifact, the five-colored roots' hardness was close to that of a supreme-grade ancestral artifact. They were not something the sky-piercing sacred flame could fuse with. In less than 3 breaths, the five-colored roots had penetrated the sky-piercing sacred flame. Amidst the six-star heavenly ancestor's terrified roar, they broke into his body and crazily devoured his energy. Soon, this six-star heavenly ancestor, who had great authority and high status in the Divine Sky clan, was turned into a dried corpse by the Chaos Divine Wood. Not bad, not bad. The Chaos Divine Wood has devoured 2 six-star heavenly ancestors and formed 4 Chaos Divine Fruits. It should be enough for Ancestor Phaeton and the Peak Evil Ancestor to enter the half-step Void God realm. Looking at the 4 Chaos Divine Fruits formed on the Chaos Divine Wood, Yi Chunfeng revealed a satisfied smile. At this time, only the half-step Void God realm Tianhong was left to kill Yi Chunfeng and the Peak Evil Ancestor. Tianhong, your momentum is gone. Accept your death obediently. After Yi Chunfeng and the Peak Evil Ancestor worked together to kill the 2 six-star heavenly ancestors, Shun Daoxiu and Shun Honggu immediately attacked the Peak Evil Ancestor ferociously, wanting to kill him in one go. However, the immortal blood flowed in Tianhong's body. Using the miraculous power of the immortal blood, Tianhong continuously healed his injuries and fought fiercely with Shun Daoxiu and the Peak Evil Ancestor. Chaos Divine Wood, suppress. Seeing that Shun Daoxiu and the Peak Evil Ancestor were unable to kill Tianhong, Yi Chunfeng immediately controlled the Chaos Divine Wood to fly over, wanting to use the Chaos Divine Wood to kill Tianhong. Sky travel. Seeing how terrifying the Chaos Divine Wood was, Tianhong's heart skipped a beat. Without thinking, he immediately performed a mysterious movement skill and transformed into a few shadows. He dodged Shun Daoxiu and the Peak Evil Ancestor's attack and appeared a few hundred meters away, avoiding the suppression of the Chaos Divine Wood. God's territory, suppress. Shun Daoxiu and the Peak Evil Ancestor followed closely behind. Both of them held up a powerful God's territory and suppressed Tianhong. Ka. Under the double suppression of the God's territory, a large number of cracks appeared on Tianhong's heaven territory. It was forcefully crushed by the 2 God's territories. Then, the 2 God's territories violently suppressed Tianhong's body. The terrifying power of the territories directly pressed Tianhong's legs into the hard ground. Chaos Divine Wood, devour. Tianhong was successfully suppressed by Shun Daoxiu and the Peak Evil Ancestor with their God's territories. Yi Chunfeng immediately controlled the Chaos Divine Wood to fly over, want to take this opportunity to devour and kill Tianhong. Humph, want to kill me? Try again in your next life. At this critical moment, Tianhong did not show any fear. He snorted coldly and used his last trump card. He summoned a milky white jade slip that was more than half a meter tall. It was sealed with a powerful seal. When he shattered the jade slip, a blurry figure appeared. A powerful virtual god power gushed out from his body, shattering the 2 gods' territories that were suppressing Tianhong and resisting the dense 5-colored roots. Supreme Immortal Heaven. When Yi Chunfeng and the Peak Evil Ancestor saw the blurry figure clearly, their pupils shrank and their expressions changed. Chapter 1933. Divine Path Empty. Ancient God Eternal. Peak Evil Ancestor. Interesting. I didn't expect to find something so interesting. Supreme Shintian's avatar had a part of his consciousness, and he was surprised when he recognized Divine Path Empty and Arrest. Although he felt that Divine Path Empty and Ancient God Eternal had broken through to half-step to Empty God Realm, he did not take it to heart. His domineering aura showed that he had complete control over the life and death of Yi Chunfeng and the rest. Tianhong, step aside. Leave them to me. Supreme Shintian's avatar took a step forward and caused the space to vibrate. Runes of the Great Way gathered under his feet like chains. No wonder Supreme Shintian is the most powerful person in the virtual god world. His avatar has such power. It's terrifying. Divine Path Empty and the rest were shocked when they felt that Supreme Shintian's avatar was at Empty God Realm. Tianhong smiled cruelly as he looked at Yi Chunfeng and the rest as though he was looking at a few cold corpses. Death God, Phaeton, come out. Sensing the threat from Supreme Shintian's avatar, Yi Qinfeng immediately summoned Death God, who was at half-step to Empty God Realm, and Fa Tian, who was at peak Evil Ancestor. Fa Tian, you've got guts. How dare you betray the Sky Tribe? Supreme Shintian said softly as he looked at Fa Tian, who was standing beside Yi Qinfeng and was only a step away from half-step to Empty God Realm. I'm sorry, clan leader. I've failed the Sky Tribe. In front of Supreme Divine Heaven, which was even stronger than Supreme Emperor Heaven, Fa Tian Ancestor had to lower his noble head and apologize. You failed the Sky Tribe. I'll take back everything that I've given you. With that, Supreme Shuntan activated his heavenly territory and turned it into a world. He attacked Fa Tian and wanted to kill him first. Death God's territory, God's territory. When Supreme Shintian released his heavenly territory, Ancient God Eternal and Ancient God Eternal stood in front of Fa Tian and activated their 3 territories to defend against the attack. Although it was only the avatar of Supreme Shuntian in front of him, the domain of heaven he formed was still extremely powerful. It instantly shattered the domain of Shun Daoshu and the other 2, bringing them a great threat. Peak Evil Ancestor, Heaven Destroyer, let's kill Tianhong first. While Shun Daoshu and the other 2 were clashing with Shun Daoshu, Yi Qinfeng immediately brought the 2 peak evil ancestors to attack Tianhong, who was heavily injured and whose battle prowess was greatly weakened. You're courting death. When Tianhong saw Yi Qinfeng and the other 2 charging at him, he revealed a ferocious expression. Suppressing his injuries, he forcibly propped up his heaven domain, hoping to borrow the power of his domain to kill off Yi Qinfeng's group. Sword Domain. Yi Qinfeng activated his unrivaled sword physique, transforming it into an unparalleled offensive sword domain as he rushed forward to meet Yi Qinfeng's attack head-on. Tianhong was already severely injured to begin with, and the domain of heaven that he forcibly opened up was also extremely incomplete. It was completely unable to withstand the domain of sword attack. Ka. Under the attack of sword intent formed by the domain of sword, Tianhong's domain of heaven was instantly shattered. The terrifying sword intent constantly attacked Tianhong's body, sending him flying. His entire body was covered with sword wounds. Domain, a complete domain. Tianhong's face was pale, without a trace of blood. He widened his eyes and looked at Yi Qinfeng as if he was looking at a monster. With your strength as a 2-star Dao ancestor, how could you possibly form a complete domain? Never seen it before? There are many things that you haven't seen before. Unfortunately, you won't have the chance to see it. With that said, Yi Qinfeng and the other 2 continued to launch ferocious attacks at Tianhong. Tianhong's injuries were already severe. Now that his domain of heaven had been destroyed by the domain of sword, his injuries were even more severe. He no longer had the strength to maintain his domain of heaven. He simply couldn't withstand the ferocious attacks of Yi Qinfeng and the others and was forced to retreat. Evil God's Hand. Tianhong gritted his teeth and controlled the 2 supreme quality ancestral artifacts to forcefully block the attacks of Yi Qinfeng and Fa Tianzu. At the same time, the peak evil ancestral seal's terrifying Evil God's Hand landed on his head. Boom! Tianhong quickly raised his palms to block the attack of the Evil God's Hand. However, although he managed to block the Evil God's Hand, his arms were shattered by the power of the Evil God's Hand. A large amount of blood spurted out from his mouth. Godless Sword. While Tianhong was forcefully blocking the Evil God's Hand that was descending from the sky, Yi Qinfeng controlled the ancestral sword soul to merge into the flying celestial sword. He activated the invincible sword body and controlled the domain of sword to pierce Tianhong's chest. Chi. Instantly, a deep sword mark appeared in the dim space. The terrifying sword radiance moved at more than 10 times the speed of light and pierced towards Tianhong's chest. Poof! Tianhong, who had used all his strength to shatter the Evil God's Hand, was unable to dodge Yi Qinfeng's godless sword. His chest was pierced by the flying celestial sword, and his body was shattered by the power of the sword domain released by the ancestral sword soul. Repair. His body exploded. Tianhong immediately controlled the mysterious bloodline in his body to repair his broken body. However, at this moment, Yi Chunfeng controlled the chaos divine wood to fly down. It extended its five-colored roots and broke into Tianhong's body, wildly devouring the energy in his body. Two supreme quality ancestral artifacts break for me. After being devoured by the chaos divine wood, Tianhong, who was clearly in a deranged state, immediately controlled the two supreme quality ancestral artifacts to attack the five-colored roots of the chaos divine wood. He wanted to break the five-colored roots to free himself. Domain of Sword, suppress. Seeing the five-colored roots being torn apart by the two supreme quality ancestral artifacts, Yi Chunfeng continuously activated the invincible sword body to form a domain of sword to suppress the two supreme quality ancestral artifacts and weaken their power. The peak evil ancestor and ancestor Fation also entered the domain of sword and used the two supreme quality ancestral artifacts to forcefully suppress the power of the two supreme quality ancestral artifacts. No, Supreme Divine Sky Clan leader, save me. The two supreme quality ancestral artifacts were constantly suppressed and could no longer threaten the chaos divine wood. Feeling the energy in his body being drained, Tianhong was terrified and shouted for help. Brat, you're courting death. Tianhong was a half-step empty god and had made great contributions to the Supreme Divine Sky Clan. If he was killed, the overall strength of the Supreme Divine Sky Clan would be weakened, and Supreme Divine Sky had no choice but to send a clone to save him. Spatial Law Level 8, Spatial Destruction. When Supreme Divine Sky retreated, Shun Hengu immediately mobilized a powerful spatial energy to destroy the space around Supreme Divine Sky and attack his body. The spatial energy was one of the most mysterious laws in the universe and contained powerful energy. Under the attack of the spatial destruction, Supreme Divine Sky's clone was constantly injured and his rescue speed was greatly affected. At this moment, Grim Reaper and Shun Daoshu attacked with supreme quality ancestral artifacts at the same time, not giving Supreme Divine Sky a chance to save him. No. Supreme Divine Sky was stopped by Shun Hengu and the other two supreme quality ancestral artifacts at all costs. Tianhong's body was withering and the energy of his sacred nucleus was draining away. He fell into despair. Ancestor Fation, peak evil ancestor, quickly go and help. The five-colored roots had completely penetrated Tianhong's body, and Yi Chunfeng basically controlled Tianhong's life. He immediately ordered Ancestor Fation and peak evil ancestor to help Shin Daoshu and the others fight against Supreme Divine Sky's clone. Although Ancestor Fation and peak evil ancestor were powerful and were only a step away from breaking through to the half-step empty god realm, the difference between them and Supreme Divine Sky's clone was too great. Chapter 1934. Fation, come back! Fation did not have the immortal body, and he could not withstand the power of Supreme Shintian's territory. Sensing that he was severely injured, Yi Chunfeng immediately sent him back to the Qiankuan realm to heal his injuries. At that moment, Shun Daoshu, Shun Yogu, and Death God attacked together. They activated their territories at all costs and fought fiercely with Supreme Shintian's clones. Chaos Divine would speed up the devouring. Yi Chunfeng saw that Shun Daoshu and the other two were having a hard time fending off Supreme Shintian's clones. He controlled the Chaos Divine wood to increase the devouring power and devour Tianhong's energy. He was going to kill him and help Shun Daoshu and the other two fight against Supreme Shintian's clones. Go to hell, you ants! Supreme Shun Tian roared furiously. His sky domain turned into a world of its own, shattering the domain of Shun Daoshu and the other two. It sent them flying, leaving behind a large amount of blood mist in the air. Evil Ancestor at the peak was crushed by the terrifying impact, and his body fell to the ground. Too powerful. The difference between a half-step to empty god and an empty god is too big. When Yi Chen-feng saw Shen Daoxiu and the other two exploding like toddlers in front of Supreme Shen Tian's incarnation, the grave expression on his face grew denser. However, he still had a trump card that he had not used. He believed that as long as he used it well, he could kill Supreme Shen Tian's clones. Divine Demon Goblin appearance. Spatial black hole. Endless darkness. Suppressing their injuries, Shen Daoxiu and the other two attacked Supreme Shen Tian without any regard for their lives. However, the difference between their abilities and Supreme Shen Tian's was too big. With the help of Heaven Territory, Supreme Shen Tian's clones continued to dissolve Shen Daoxiu and the other two's attacks. Just as Shen Daoxiu and the other two were fighting Supreme Shen Tian, the Chaos Divine would finally devour Tian Hong's Saint Nucleus and turned him into a mummy. He then formed 4 more precious Chaos Divine fruits that contained a territory. After devouring Tian Hong, Yi Chen-feng did not hesitate. He immediately attacked Supreme Shen Tian together with Evil Ancestor at the peak of his physical body. Ancestral Dragon's Eye. Approaching Supreme God Heaven, Yi Chen-feng's forehead split open with the Ancestral Dragon's Eye. Billions of rays of light shot out, as if they were piercing through the universe, piercing through Supreme God Heaven. The light from the Ancestral Dragon's eyes closed in. After forcing Shen Daoxiu and the others to retreat, Supreme Shen Tian gently waved his arm. The entire space was distorted, and it directly shattered the light from the Ancestral Dragon's eyes. Invincible Sword Body. Invincible Sword. With the Ancestral Dragon's Eye broken, Yi Chen-feng disregarded his own safety and activated the Invincible Sword Body. He merged with the Ancestral Sword Spirit and turned himself into a sword. He slashed out an invincible sword, stirring up the momentum of heaven and earth as he slashed toward Supreme Shen Tian. An ant like you dares to attack me at close range? Supreme Shen Tian snorted coldly. His domain of heaven expanded infinitely, crushing the 3 domains that Shen Daoxiu and the others had created together. He attacked Yi Chen-feng with all his might, wanting to kill him and take the chaotic divine wood. Kacha! When Yi Chen-feng turned into an invincible divine sword and slashed at the domain of heaven, the invincible sword body and sword domain erupted at the same time. The terrifying sword might forcefully split open a crack in the domain of heaven. Next, the chaotic divine would fell from the sky under the control of Yi Chen-feng's will, shattering the domain of heaven. The domain of heaven was broken by Yi Chen-feng using the invincible sword body and sword domain. Shen Daoxiu and the other two unleashed their strongest potential, deducing a powerful Dao. They attacked Supreme Shen Tian with extreme grade ancestral artifact, wanting to take the opportunity to injure him. However, Supreme Shen Tian's avatar was too terrifying. Shen Daoxiu and the other two's strongest attacks were weakened by the domain of heaven. They couldn't injure him at all. Domain of heaven, repair. Seeing Yi Chen-feng close in, Supreme Shen Tian forcefully repaired the domain of heaven and swallowed Yi Chen-feng. He controlled the powerful domain power to launch a fatal attack at him. Path of equipment manipulation. Divine sword devour heaven. At the critical moment, Yi Chen-feng summoned the divine sword devour heaven and unleashed the path of equipment manipulation. He activated the strongest attack of the divine sword devour heaven and slashed at Supreme Shen Tian's avatar. Void God Artifact. You actually have a Void God Artifact. Looking at the mysterious divine runes that lit up on the divine sword devour heaven and feeling the explosive power of the divine sword devour heaven, Supreme Shen Tian was in disbelief. He instinctively wanted to dodge. However, he was too close to Yi Chen-feng and couldn't dodge at all. He could only watch as the divine sword devour heaven tore through layers of domain power and slashed at his body. Cheat. As the divine sword devour heaven slashed down, a bottomless sword mark appeared in the valley. Although Supreme Shen Tian's avatar was strong, he couldn't withstand the attack of the divine sword devour heaven. His body was slashed open by the sword, and the imprint on his body dimmed. Bang! Although the divine sword devour heaven/open supreme Shintian. Yi Qinfeng's body was also destroyed by the terrifying domain power at the same time. Undying divine power, repair. In the blink of an eye, Yi Qinfeng relied on his strong will and used the undying divine power to repair his broken body. He then summoned the Chaos Divine Wood. Chaos Divine Wood, devour. Under the control of Yi Qinfeng's will, the Chaos Divine Wood extended tens of thousands of five-colored roots and took root in Supreme Shintian's avatar. They crazily devoured the energy in his body. You want to devour me? You're still far from it. Supreme Shintian relied on the imprint on his body to forcefully repair his broken body. He then controlled the powerful heavenly territory to attack the five-colored roots. The three of you quickly swallow this elixir and suppress Supreme Shintian with all your might. Seeing a large number of five-colored roots being torn apart by Supreme Shintian, Yi Qinfeng immediately took out 3 elixirs that had great side effects but could increase one's strength in a short period of time and gave them to Shin Daoxiu and the other 2. All right, Shin Daoxiu and the other 2 didn't hesitate and quickly swallowed the 3 black elixirs. They overdrew their bodies and forcefully increased their strength to suppress Supreme Shintian together. Primitive Tao Fetus, Peak Evil Ancestor, follow me to suppress Supreme Shintian. While Shin Daoxiu and the other 2 were exhausting themselves to suppress the Supreme Divine Heaven, Yi Qinfeng summoned the primitive Tao embryo of a 6-star Tao ancestor and summoned the severely injured peak stage evil ancestor to form a sword domain and suppress him with all his might. Under the suppression of Yi Qinfeng and the others, cracks appeared on Supreme Shintian's heavenly territory. The speed of tearing the 5-colored roots was getting slower and slower. Divine Sword devouring heaven, slash. Yi Qinfeng was multitasking. He controlled the endless Tao power in his body and infused it into the devouring heaven sword. He then controlled the devouring heaven sword to slash at Supreme Shintian. Although Yi Qinfeng had the primordial blood, he was still a 2-star Tao ancestor. Using the Void God weapon to attack consecutively still put him under great pressure and damaged his body. However, at this moment, he couldn't care less. If he couldn't kill Supreme Shintian's avatar, what awaited them was death. Chi, the divine sword devouring heaven, slashed down and the heavenly territory shattered. Supreme Shintian's broken body was once again slashed apart. Suppress with all your might. When Supreme Shintian's body was split into 2, Yi Qinfeng and the others each suppressed half of Supreme Shintian's body. They cut off the connection and didn't give him a chance to repair his body. Under the suppression of Yi Qinfeng and the others, the mark on the avatar grew dimmer and dimmer. In the end, the chaotic divine would pierced through it and swallowed all the power of the mark. Chapter 1935. Phew, I've finally killed Supreme Shintian's external embodiment. Yi Qinfeng heaved a sigh of relief as he looked at his external embodiment that had turned into dust. This battle was extremely fierce. If it weren't for the sky-devouring sword, Yi Qinfeng and the rest wouldn't have had a chance to turn the situation around. This also allowed him to see how terrifying Supreme Shintian was. His external embodiment alone had the strength of an empty god. Yi Qinfeng didn't dare to imagine how terrifying his real body was. 6 chaotic divine fruits. Ancestor Fation and evil Ancestor Peak were severely injured. Shin Daoxiu and the other 2 were exhausted and wouldn't be able to fight for a while. However, Yi Qinfeng and the rest had gained a lot. Not only did they obtain the 2 supreme ancestral artifacts, the returning ancestral hammer and the dark ancestral hook, but the chaotic divine would had also formed 14 chaotic divine fruits. The 6 chaotic divine fruits that the chaotic divine would had formed after devouring Supreme Shintian's external embodiment were extremely precious as they contained almost complete territory intent. Fation and Peak Evil Ancestor. I'll give you the supreme ancestral artifacts, returning ancestral hammer, dark ancestral hook, and 2 chaotic divine fruits. Yi Qinfeng wasn't stingy. He gave the two supreme ancestral artifacts that he had obtained from killing Tian Hong and the chaotic divine fruits that contain part of the territory intent to Fa Tian and peak evil ancestor to increase their attack power. Then, Yi Chunfeng took out 3 chaotic divine fruits that contained almost complete territory and gave them to Shun Daoshu and the other 2 so that they could comprehend supreme Shintian's territory and increase their chances of breaking through to the empty god realm. Primal Chaos, Spiritual Fish, Patterned Butterfly, Peacock King, Senior Torch Dragon. These 5 chaos divine fruits are for you. Yi Chunfeng gave the Primal Chaos Divine Beasts 5 Chaos Divine Fruits each. Alright everyone, speed up your cultivation in the Qingquan realm and try to break through as soon as possible. After distributing the spoils of war, Yi Chunfeng consumed a Chaos Divine Fruit that contained a portion of the domain. He healed his injuries and left the universe realm. He took the 10 ancient ancestral flags in the valley and flew away at an extremely fast speed. Just as Yi Chunfeng disappeared into the endless mountains outside Xingu City, a deafening explosion rang out in Xingu City. The sound was so loud that it spread for millions of li, shaking the entire Xingu City as if there was an earthquake. The human emperor used a powerful trump card, raising his own strength to an unimaginable level. He slashed apart Supreme Shun Tian's doppelganger, ending this unprecedented battle. However, even though the human emperor and the others had joined forces to kill Supreme Shintian's doppelganger, Supreme Shintian's doppelganger was too terrifying. They had all suffered varying degrees of injuries. They all brought their experts and left ancient Sage City, returning to their respective factions to heal their injuries. The Dead Sea was located at the edge of the demon region. It was a desolate place where very few people stepped foot into. Legend had it that the Dead Sea was a sacred place in the past. The sea gave birth to millions of living beings, and there were many hidden opportunities at the bottom of the sea. It was a place that everyone yearned for. However, in ancient times, the various races had engaged in an unprecedented battle in the Dead Sea, destroying all the living beings in the sea, turning the Sea of Life into the Dead Sea. There were even ghosts wandering in the sea that could not be driven away, enough to threaten divine great experts. Coupled with the fact that the space in the sea was fragile and abnormally dangerous, very few people were willing to step foot into this place. You're going to the Dead Sea too? When Yi Chunfeng, who had changed his appearance and aura, walked out of the wormhole, a woman wearing a black martial arts suit that accentuated her voluptuous body walked to Yi Chunfeng's side and asked softly. She had light makeup on her face, and her facial features were exquisite. She wore long, slender legs and walked over to Yi Chunfeng. And Yi Chunfeng glanced at the woman in black who had taken the initiative to approach him on the flywheel and nodded. I'm going to the Dead Sea too. Why don't we go together? The woman in black revealed a charming smile and blinked her big eyes at Yi Chunfeng as she took the initiative to ask. Okay. Yi Chunfeng looked deeply at the woman in black and did not refuse. He flew in the direction of the Dead Sea with her. The closer they got to the Dead Sea, the lower the temperature became. Yi Chunfeng's sharp senses could clearly sense a cold aura in the air. It was drilling into his body through his pores and corroding his flesh. However, Yi Chunfeng was so powerful that he only needed to circulate his ancestral power to disperse the cold aura that had drilled into his body. He continued to fly in the direction of the Dead Sea. The woman in black beside Yi Chunfeng did not seem to be affected by the cold aura. Her speed did not decrease as she followed beside Yi Chunfeng. By the way, what's your name? As they slowly approached the Dead Sea, the woman in black took the initiative to approach Yi Chunfeng and asked softly. From her expression, one could tell that she was very interested in Yi Chunfeng. Feng Chun. Yi Chunfeng casually made up a name. Feng Chun, why are you going to the Dead Sea? Don't tell me you're going there to train like me. After knowing Yi Chunfeng's name, the woman in black seemed to be very happy and continued to ask, Are you really going to the Dead Sea to train? Yi Chunfeng turned his head and glanced at her restricted facial features, then asked with a deep meaning. Of course. Otherwise, why would I go to the Dead Sea? The woman in black's eyes flickered. I thought you were going to the Dead Sea to wait for someone. Yi Chunfeng smiled and ignored the woman in black whose eyelids twitched. He continued to fly in the direction of the Dead Sea. Boom, boom, boom. As they approached the Dead Sea, Yi Chunfeng could clearly hear the sound of waves crashing against the reef. Through the gradually dimming light, Yi Chunfeng saw a black mass in the distance that stretched as far as the eye could see. Feng Chun, I heard that the Dead Sea is very dangerous at night. Why don't we rest at the shore for a night and train in the Dead Sea the next morning? After arriving at the shore of the Dead Sea, the woman in black took the initiative to suggest as she looked at the pitch-black Dead Sea that contained unknown dangers. Sure, let's rest here for a night. Yi Chunfeng nodded his head and agreed. He sat cross-legged on the fine shore of the Dead Sea and adjusted his breathing in silence. After a while, a mouth-watering aroma of meat wafted over from afar. Yi Chunfeng opened his eyes and saw that the woman in black had caught a strange fish out of nowhere. She was roasting on a rack. Feng Chun, I think you're hungry too. Come and eat. Seeing Yi Chunfeng open his eyes, the woman in black revealed a faint smile and said, This black striped shark can only be found in the Dead Sea. You can't eat it outside. No need, I'm not hungry. Looking at the woman in black who was kneeling on the ground with her, but sticking out in a seductive posture, Yi Chunfeng was unmoved and closed his eyes again. Feng Chun, do you have a dual cultivation partner? Yi Chunfeng's rejection did not discourage the woman in black. She held the golden roasted fish and came to Yi Chunfeng's side and asked softly. Yi Chunfeng opened his eyes and looked at the woman in black's delicate face and asked calmly, Why are you asking this? If you don't have a dual cultivation partner, how about I be your partner? The woman in black revealed a charming smile and said seductively, I don't like scheming bitches. Yi Chunfeng shook his head and said coldly, You. The woman in black did not expect Yi Chunfeng to say such nasty words, and her face changed instantly. Why? Do you think I'm wrong? Or are you angry because I saw through your thoughts? Yi Chunfeng smiled and said, Actually, you really shouldn't scheme against me. Because scheming against me is equivalent to scheming against the Grim Reaper. You will die without a doubt. What do you mean? The woman in black pretended to be calm and asked. Chapter 1936. You saw through me long ago? The black-clothed lady quickly took a few steps back and looked at Yi Chunfeng in disbelief. The black-clothed lady was an ancestor realm expert of the Fox Demon clan. Her illusory skills were superb, and very few people could see through her illusions and see her true body. I saw through you when I entered the wormhole, Yi Chunfeng said indifferently. I'm just wondering how you found out about me. Let this ancestor answer you. The Golden Rock great demonic ancestor, who was wearing a dark golden robe and a towering crown, appeared in the dark night. Hume is the ape god's woman. She's familiar with all of the ape god's techniques and imprints. So that's how it is. Yi Chunfeng smiled faintly and said, I'll return the favor. I'll give the ape god a gift too. With that, the black-clothed lady's face revealed a large number of poison spots. Her delicate skin shriveled at a speed visible to the naked eye, and she collapsed to the ground. Poison, you poisoned me. The black-clothed lady tried her best to suppress the poison in her body, but she realized that she couldn't suppress it. She revealed a terrified expression. Don't be so smug. I'll poison you too. If you don't give me the antidote, I'll take you down with me. Hey, didn't they tell you what I have? With the chaos divine wood, Yi Chunfeng wasn't afraid of any poison. The poison that the black-clothed lady gave Yi Chunfeng had already been devoured by the chaos divine wood. You're courting death. The Golden Rock great demonic ancestor was enraged. He turned into a golden light and attacked Yi Chunfeng. The Golden Rock great demonic ancestor's speed was the fastest in the Void God world. However, with the God-Eater brain's perception, Yi Chunfeng predicted it in advance. He used the sword steps and dodged 100 meters away, dodging the Golden Rock great demonic ancestor's attack. Yi Chunfeng, I won't let you go even if I become a ghost. The black-clothed lady, whose skin began to fester and poisonous blood flowed out of her body, was in despair and shouted in pain. Being a ghost isn't that easy. Yi Chen-feng would never show mercy to his enemies. He tapped the air with his finger, interweaving a sharp sword light and attacking the black-robed woman, directly crushing her soul, causing her soul to dissipate. Yi Chen-feng, you deserve to die. The Golden Rock demon ancestor was completely enraged after seeing Yi Chen-feng shatter the ape. He let out an angry roar, and a pair of golden wings broke out of his body. They quickly flapped and created tornadoes to attack Yi Chen-feng. Grand Mist Bloodline Ignition. Invincible Sword Body. Yi Chen-feng immediately ignited his Grand Mist Bloodline and turned into the most powerful invincible sword body. He turned into an invincible divine sword that intertwined with the 4 ancestral Tao diagrams and slashed towards the demon ancestor. Although there was an insurmountable gap between Yi Chen-feng and the Golden Rock ancestral martial ancestor, the offensive power of the invincible sword body was too terrifying. Coupled with the amplification of the ancestral martial ancestor's sword spirit, his sword slashed through the space like a dazzling Milky Way, slashing towards the Golden Rock ancestral martial ancestor. Boom! Yi Chen-feng turned into a sword. The sword light slashed down and collided with the arrows in the demon ancestor's wings, creating endless sparks in the air. Amen, you actually blocked this ancestor's attack. The demon ancestor was surprised that Yi Chen-feng, whose cultivation was far below him, could actually neutralize his attack. Primitive Tao embryo, come out. When Yi Chen-feng clashed head-on with the Golden Rock ancestral patriarch, he was so shaken that his blood and qi started to churn. He sensed that it was impossible for him to defeat a peak-level Yao with his current strength, so he immediately summoned his 6-star Tao ancestor primitive Tao embryo. Shen Daoxiu, Grim Reaper, and the others were severely injured from the battle with Supreme Shintian's external incarnation. Yi Chen-feng did not disturb them. 6-star primitive Tao embryo. Kid, you are surprising me more and more. However, you must die for daring to ruin the plan of Supreme Shuntian clan leader. Golden Rock transformed into his strongest battle form. His strength had also surpassed the limit of 6-star demon ancestor and reached the half-step virtual god realm. Heavenly Territory. Golden Rock activated his powerful Heavenly Territory and trapped Yi Chen-feng inside. He wanted to use the Heavenly Territory to kill Yi Chen-feng. Humph! You want to kill me with an incomplete Heavenly Territory? Yi Chen-feng snorted and activated his Sword Territory. He crushed the suppression of the Heavenly Territory and took control of the area. Territory, a complete Heavenly Territory. How did you do it? Golden Rock stared at Yi Chen-feng with his eyes wide open. He looked as if he had seen a ghost. Primitive Tao embryo, kill him. Yi Chen-feng ordered loudly. The primitive Tao embryo held the life and death plate. The black demonic plate entered the Heavenly Territory and attacked Golden Rock demon ancestor. What is your relationship with the immortal demon ancestor? Golden Rock demon ancestor's face darkened when he saw the life and death plate of the immortal demon ancestor in the hands of the primitive Tao embryo. Golden Rock, don't you think you talk too much nonsense? Yi Chen-feng snorted and activated his Sword Territory to the greatest extent. He attacked the Heavenly Territory with all his might to weaken the influence of the Heavenly Territory on the primitive Tao embryo. Boom! Boom! Under the primitive Tao embryo's attacks, the space in front of the Golden Rock Forefather continued to shatter. However, the Golden Rock Forefather's strength was too terrifying, and the limit golden crown on his head could amplify his offensive and defensive power, blocking the attacks of the 2 high-grade ancestral artifacts. Yi Chen-feng did not use the Divine Sword Devourer, as he was afraid that Golden Rock Demon Ancestor's speed would be too fast and the Heaven-Devouring Sword would fail. Then, it would be difficult to sneak up on Golden Rock Demon Ancestor. Domain of Swords, smash! Golden Rock Demon Ancestor relied on his powerful strength and the extreme Golden Crown to neutralize the attacks of the primitive Tao embryo. Yi Chen-feng controlled the Sword Territory to crash into the Heavenly Territory. Boom! The 2 domains collided, and the resulting shockwaves caused the space around them to collapse. However, The primitive Tao embryo was not affected at all. It continued to attack Golden Rock Demon Ancestor with the Life and Death Plate and the Black Demonic Plate. Extreme speed. Enduring the backlash of the Heavenly Territory, Golden Rock Demon Ancestor reverted to his true form and increased his speed to the maximum. He dodged the primitive Tao embryo's attacks and flew towards Yi Qinfeng. 3,000 God-transforming fists. The God-Eater brain, which was rapidly deducing, captured the attack trajectory of the Golden Rock Grand Elder. Yi Qinfeng immediately blasted out 3,000 destructive fists towards the Golden Rock Grand Elder. The fists, which contained billions of gene of power, attacked the Golden Rock Grand Elder like a meteor shower. Penetrate. Golden Rock Demon Ancestor did not dodge the 3,000 God-transforming fists. He turned into a streak of golden light and pierced through the destructive fists, approaching Yi Qinfeng. Chaos Divine Wood. At this critical moment, Yi Qinfeng summoned his natal treasure, the Chaos Divine Wood, and used it to block in front of him. He also cracked open the Ancestral Dragon's eye on his forehead and looked at Golden Rock Demon Ancestor. However, under the maximum amplification of the Golden Crown, the Golden Rock Ancestral Demon's attack power was too terrifying. After a series of collisions, the Ancestral Dragon's eyes were broken. The Golden Rock Ancestral Demon slammed into the Chaos Divine Wood that was constantly expanding, creating a powerful vibration that impacted Yi Qinfeng's body, causing his qi and blood to churn. Golden Rock Demon Ancestor used his extreme speed to injure Yi Qinfeng. The primitive Tao embryo immediately turned back to save him. However, Golden Rock Demon Ancestor was too fast. The primitive Tao embryo's attacks could not even touch him. Just as Yi Qinfeng was hesitating whether to summon the divine sword swallowing sky to attack, he suddenly felt a powerful aura surging out of the universal mirror. Chapter 1937. The demonic ancestor has broken through to half-step virtual god. Yi Qinfeng summoned the demonic ancestor as soon as he sensed the demonic ancestor's improvement in strength. He wanted to fight the Golden Rock demonic ancestor. Half-step demon god. Sensing the demonic ancestor's strength, the Golden Rock demonic ancestor's face darkened. His demonic aura surged as he stabbed the ultimate golden spear at the demonic ancestor. The demonic ancestor turned into a beam of light, and the demonic ancestor immediately summoned the supreme ancestral weapon, the ancestral hammer. Whoosh! The ultimate golden spear pierced through the demonic ancestor's body, while the ancestral hammer in the demonic ancestor's hand smashed into the demonic ancestor's body. However, the ancestral hammer only slightly injured the demonic ancestor under the ultimate golden crown's defense. However, the demonic ancestor's body was smashed into the ground by the terrifying ancestral hammer, creating a huge crater. The demonic ancestor glanced at the demonic ancestor who was smashed into the ground. The demonic ancestor immediately activated his immortal blood to quickly heal the ultimate golden spear. The ancestral hammer. Why do you have Grand Elder Tianhong's ancestral hammer? The demonic ancestor flew out of the deep crater. He looked at the ancestral hammer in the demonic ancestor's hand, and an unbelievable thought flashed through his mind. I killed Tianhong. Of course, his supreme ancestral weapon is mine. Yi Qinfeng did not hide anything and said calmly, Impossible. Grand Elder Tianhong is a half-step virtual god. How could he be killed by you? The demonic ancestor did not believe Yi Qinfeng at all. Why? Are you so shocked that I killed Tianhong? Yi Qinfeng smiled and said, Would you be scared to death if I told you that I even killed the avatar of supreme, divine heaven? Brat, don't spout nonsense here. This ancestor won't believe your nonsense. In the Golden Rock ancestral demon's heart, Supreme Shintian was a god. Otherwise, the Golden Rock ancestral demon wouldn't have submitted to him. Therefore, the Golden Rock ancestral demon didn't believe that Yi Qinfeng had the strength to kill Supreme Shintian's external incarnation. If you have the life to leave, you can personally ask the Supreme Divine Heaven. However, he might not admit it. Yi Chen Feng smiled and attacked the Golden Rock Great Ancestor with the primitive Tao Fetus and the half-step Evil God. They fought fiercely in the air. Sword Domain Slash. As he approached the Golden Rock Great Ancestor, Yi Chen Feng immediately activated his Sword Domain. He controlled the Sword Domain to condense it into an invincible sword slash that slashed towards the Golden Rock Great Ancestor, while the Golden Rock Forefather controlled his Celestial Domain to form a spatial vortex to block the domain slash. The half-step Evil God and the primitive Tao Embryo attacked him from the left and right, clashing fiercely with his golden wings. Fighting 1 against 3, the Golden Rock Demonic Ancestor felt immense pressure. He had no choice but to activate the power of the extreme Golden Crown to increase his strength. He relied on his absolute speed to withstand the attacks of Yi Chen Feng and the other two. Evil God Domain. When Golden Rock Demonic Ancestor transformed into several afterimages, the half-step Evil God activated his powerful Evil God Domain and instantly shattered the afterimages of Golden Rock Demonic Ancestor, exerting immense pressure on him. Golden Rock Demonic Ancestor found it difficult to withstand the complete Sword Domain. Now that he was attacked by the half-step Evil God's Domain, the pressure on him was even greater. The dark golden feathers that covered his body were constantly shattered by the two domains. His attacks were also suppressed and could not pose a threat to Yi Chen Feng. Screech. Extreme Rock Shadow. With his attacks suppressed, Golden Rock Demonic Ancestor went berserk. He activated his powerful bloodline and instantly transformed into several extreme rock shadows. He fought fiercely with Yi Chen Feng and the others. Chaos Divine Wood Break. Yi Chen Feng summoned the Chaos Divine Wood. He controlled the Chaos Divine Wood to sway its 5-colored crown and distort the entire space, constantly shattering the extreme rock shadows. However, the difference in strength between Yi Chen Feng and Golden Rock Demonic Ancestor was too great. Every time the Chaos Divine would shatter an extreme rock shadow, Yi Chen Feng was under immense pressure. He could not help but spurt out mouthfuls of blood. Go to hell, Brad. Seeing Yi Chen Feng spurting out blood, Golden Rock Demonic Ancestor suddenly accelerated. His entire body turned into a streak of light. He tore through the primitive Tao Fetus and the half-step Evil God's attacks with extreme speed and launched a fatal attack at Yi Chen Feng. Want to kill me? You're not enough. Golden Rock Demonic Ancestor was getting closer and closer. However, Yi Chen Feng did not dodge. Seeing that Golden Rock Demonic Ancestor's fatal attack was about to land on Yi Chen Feng's body, he summoned the Divine Sword Devourer and used the equipment controlling Tao. Buzz! 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 Under the activation of the equipment controlling Tao, the mysterious divine patterns on the surface of the Divine Sword Devourer lit up. An ancient and eternal energy surged out from the Divine Sword Devourer. It shook the entire space and caused it to shatter. Golden Rock Demonic Ancestor sensed a strong sense of danger. This is a virtual god weapon. You actually have a virtual god weapon. Feeling the destructive energy from the Divine Sword Devourer, Golden Rock Demonic Ancestor's heart trembled. He instinctively wanted to dodge. However, he was too fast and too close to Yi Chen Feng. He could not dodge in time and could only face the attack with all his might. Life-blood ignition, ultimate Golden Crown's strongest amplitude. Unable to dodge the fatal attack from the Divine Sword Devourer, Golden Rock Demonic Ancestor had no choice but to burn his lifeblood and maximize the ultimate Golden Crown to forcefully raise his strength to the virtual God realm. However, the moment he used the ultimate Golden Crown to break through to the virtual God realm, the Divine Sword Devourer combined the Sword Territory, Invincible Sword Body, Ancestral Sword Soul, and Yi Chen Feng's Ancestral Force to unleash a destructive sword attack towards Golden Rock Demonic Ancestor. Crack! The extreme Golden Crown of the Avian clan cracked after receiving the invincible attack of the Divine Sword devouring the heavens. The terrifying sword power poured down like a silver river and smashed Golden Rock Demon Forefather's body, directly shattering it. Immortal Blood Repair. Golden Rock demonic ancestor had submitted to Supreme Shintian and received the immortal blood as a reward. With the power of the immortal blood, he forcefully repaired his body that had been split open by the divine sword devourer. However, the power of the divine sword devourer was too terrifying. Golden Rock demonic ancestor had almost used up all the immortal blood in his body to repair his broken body. He burned his powerful blood and fled in fear. On the other hand, Yi Qinfeng was hit by the aftershock and his body was also filled with cracks. He could not stop Golden Rock demonic ancestor and could only watch him escape. Let's go to the Death Sea. Yi Qinfeng did not know if there were any peak demon clan almighties near the Death Sea. He hid in the Qinquan realm to recuperate and let half-step evil god bring the Qinquan realm into the Death Sea to search for the Death Cave hidden in the depths of the Death Sea. Not long after Yi Qinfeng and the rest entered the Death Sea, an even more terrifying aura appeared. The mighty ape, whose speed was not as fast as Golden Rock demonic ancestor, appeared outside the Death Sea with a few ancestral realm almighties of the Beast Clan. Chapter 1938. There's so many spirits. Yi Qinfeng consumed an incomparably precious supreme grade heaven-reaching saint pellet and adjusted his breathing for a period of time in a space with a 30 times faster flow of time. After healing his injuries, he left the universe realm and arrived at the Death Sea that was as dark as ink and filled with dense death chi. He discovered that there were a large number of wandering spirits in the Death Sea. To an ordinary person, the spirits in the Death Sea were definitely nightmares. They would be doomed if they encountered them. However, they were the best tonic for the God-Eater brain. As the situation in the virtual God world became more chaotic, Yi Qinfeng urgently needed the God-Eater brain to continue growing the Soul Eater brain so that it could control half-step to virtual gods and even almighties to deal with any trouble that might arise. God-Eater brain, devour. Yi Qinfeng summoned the God-Eater brain and controlled it to turn into a black hole. It released a powerful, devouring force to devour the spirits that were close to it. Where is the Cave of Death? Yi Qinfeng did not know the exact location of the Cave of Death. It was not easy to find the Cave of Death in the vast Death Sea. All right, the mark. After thinking for a while, Yi Qinfeng thought of the mark that was left on his body after passing the Spirit Tribe assessment. Perhaps he could sense the Cave of Death through the mark. Yi Qinfeng closed his eyes and slowly inserted ancestral power into the Spirit Tribe mark in his body. He activated the power of the Spirit Tribe mark and sensed the Cave of Death's location. Nothing. Yi Qinfeng activated the Spirit Tribe mark and sensed for a while, but there was still nothing. However, he was not discouraged. He controlled the God-Eater brain to devour the spirits in the Death Sea while he searched for the Cave of Death. Time flew by and soon, a month had passed. In the month, the God-Eater brain had devoured many spirits in the Death Sea and had split a large number of brain cells. However, as the God-Eater brain became more powerful, it needed more energy to evolve into a subbrain. After devouring tens of thousands of spirits, the God-Eater brain showed no signs of evolving. There's the aura of a living being in front. While Yi Qinfeng was traveling at high speed at the bottom of the Death Sea, he finally sensed the aura of a living being in an oceanic trench that was unfathomably deep. This living being was the first one he had encountered in the past month. Whoosh! Yi Qinfeng suddenly accelerated. He tore through the black seawater and entered the bottomless trench. He flew toward the aura of living beings that the God-Eater brain had sensed. What kind of creature is this? Flying to the bottom of the trench, Yi Qinfeng saw a huge shell the size of a house. Inside the shell, there was a powerful life force. Human? Is there a human in this shell? When the God-Eater brain, which was rapidly making deductions, penetrated the giant shell, Yi Qinfeng was surprised to discover that the shell contained the aura of a human. Why is there a person here? Filled with curiosity, Yi Qinfeng arrived at the giant shell. He erupted with hundreds of billions of gene of strength and forcefully pried open the giant shell. He saw an old face with only half a body and both legs fused together with the shell. Who are you? Sensing the light shining from the moonlight stones, the old face slowly opened its eyes. It looked at Yi Chen-feng, who was opening the shell, and asked softly, "What are you doing?" "I'm just a passerby. I have no ill intentions towards you." Yi Chen-feng looked at the old man, who didn't have a strong aura, and said indifferently, "I'm just here to inquire about a place." "Passerby." The old man looked deeply at Yi Chen-feng and said, "I have already forgotten how long it has been since I last saw a human. Don't have any extravagant hopes for the Dead Sea. Everything here has been destroyed. There are no more opportunities." The old man shook his head. "I didn't come to the Dead Sea to look for great opportunities. I came here to find a place called the Cave of Death. Do you know where it is?" Yi Chen-feng asked. "Cave of Death." The old man's eyes trembled. He looked at Yi Chen-feng and said, "Are you also the inheritor of the spirit race?" "What, you too?" Yi Chen-feng said in surprise when he saw the old man's shocked expression. "I don't know how strong you are, but let me give you a piece of advice. Don't go to the Cave of Death. If you go, you won't be able to come back." The old man sighed deeply. "Why is that? Could it be that the Cave of Death is very dangerous?" Yi Chen-feng asked in surprise. "I don't know how terrifying the Cave of Death is, but I know that no one who entered the Cave of Death has ever come out alive." The old man fell into deep thought and said, "Not a single person came out." Yi Chen-feng raised his eyebrows. He was deeply shocked. "That's right. Not a single person came out." The old man nodded and said without hesitation, "So if you don't want to die, it's best not to go to the Cave of Death." "Sir, I must go to the Cave of Death. If you know where it is, I will definitely reward you generously." Yi Chen-feng knew that the more dangerous a place was, the more likely it was to hide a great opportunity. He took a deep breath and promised. "Reward?" The old man's dead eyes shone with light. "I can give you a piece of rebirth wood to help you reconstruct your body. I can also give you a supreme grade heaven-reaching holy pill and a warship so that you can leave this place." Yi Chen-feng said, "Since you have so many treasures, why must you go to the Cave of Death? You have to know that if you enter the Cave of Death, there's a high chance that you won't be able to come back alive." The old man suppressed the excitement in his heart and reminded him kindly, "Don't worry, I have confidence in myself." Yi Chen-feng said confidently, "All right, since you insist on going to the Cave of Death, I'll tell you the location of the Cave of Death. I hope you can come out alive." As he spoke, the old man fell into deep thought and told Yi Chen-feng the location of the Cave of Death. "Thank you." After memorizing the location of the Cave of Death, Yi Chen-feng immediately took out a piece of incomparably precious rebirth wood, a supreme grade heaven-reaching holy pill, and a warship with extremely strong defense, and gave them to the old man. "I wish you good luck. I hope that we can meet again one day." Looking at the gifts that Yi Chen-feng gave him, the old man could no longer hold back the excitement in his heart. His soul directly entered the rebirth wood. After bidding farewell to the old man, Yi Chen-feng immediately set up the route that the old man told him and flew in the direction of the Cave of Death. Around 5 days later, Yi Chen-feng suddenly felt an indescribable reaction from the spirit tribe mark in his body. He was delighted and immediately flew in the direction of the Cave of Death. Soon, Yi Chen-feng discovered an oceanic trench that stretched for an unknown number of miles ahead. It was like the mouth of hell, and through the mark, Yi Chen-feng basically confirmed that the spirit tribe's ultimate inheritance, the Cave of Death, was hidden in this oceanic trench. An illusion. After flying into the oceanic trench, Yi Chen-feng discovered that the oceanic trench was filled with a powerful illusion that constantly confused him. However, Yi Chen-feng had cultivated the illusion Dao insight to the ancestral diagram level, so he ignored the erosion of the illusion and quickly arrived at the depths of the oceanic trench. He discovered a faintly discernible spatial entrance that had merged into one with the night sky, and there were many skeletons scattered around the spatial entrance. Judging from the size of these skeletons, these caves came from various races. "Cave of Death, I've finally found you." Looking at the black spatial entrance, Yi Chen-feng didn't hesitate at all. His body flashed, and he entered the spatial entrance like an arrow that had been released from a bow. And the moment he entered the spatial entrance, the spirit tribe mark on his body strangely disappeared. What a powerful spatial pressure. After entering the spatial entrance, Yi Chunfeng immediately felt a frightening spatial power surging in from all directions, constantly squeezing his body. However, Yi Chunfeng had cultivated the invincible sword physique, and his entire body was like the ancestral sword. A mere spatial pressure couldn't affect him at all. Withstanding the increasingly powerful spatial pressure, Yi Chunfeng continued to increase his speed. Soon, he passed through the spatial tunnel and entered the Cave of Death, the ultimate inheritance of the spirit tribe. P.S. Click the advertisement and add more chapters. Add more chapters. Add more chapters. Chapter 1939. Statue of God. After entering the Death Cave, the first thing that entered Yi Chunfeng's eyes was an incomparably tall shrine that exuded a sacred aura. In front of the shrine, there was a statue of God that looked at the sky with a cold and arrogant expression. When Yi Chunfeng approached this statue of God that was dozens of feet tall, the statue suddenly opened its tightly shut eyes. A seemingly solid light shot out from its eyes as it looked at Yi Chunfeng. It's been more than 30,000 years. Finally, a new inheritor has arrived. I hope you can pass the test. The statue suddenly opened its mouth and let out a deep voice. If you can't pass the test, then you may be trapped here forever. If you can't pass the test, then you will be trapped here until you die. Yi Chunfeng finally understood why the old man said that no one had ever left the Death Cave alive. That's right. The secret of this place cannot be leaked. So, either you pass the test and leave, or you leave this place forever. The statue of God roared. All right, you can prepare now. Once you're ready, we can begin the test. There's no need to prepare. Let's begin now. Although Yi Chunfeng wasn't sure what kind of test the spiritual bead had left behind here, he was confident in his own strength. He believed that he would definitely be able to pass the test smoothly. 3 palms. If you can withstand 3 of my palms, you can enter the shrine behind me. If you can't, you will lose your life. A terrifying aura surged out from the statue of God as it spoke without a trace of emotion. All right, come on. Yi Chunfeng nodded and said fearlessly, "Be careful," the statue of God warned. It raised its palm that was the size of a house high up and pressed down on Yi Chunfeng. It carried an incomparable pressure that distorted space and pressed down on Yi Chunfeng. The statue's palm pressed down. Yi Chunfeng didn't dodge and raised his right hand to meet it. Boom! When a handprint, which was the size of a house, landed on Yi Chunfeng's raised right hand, it trembled violently and shattered like glass. After the first palm strike, the statue struck out a second palm strike. This time, it carried an even more terrifying power as it struck towards Yi Chunfeng. Although the imprint's palm strike was frightening enough to threaten an ordinary divine rank expert, it posed no threat to Yi Chunfeng. Yi Chunfeng clenched his fist and punched at the imprint's palm strike, shattering the second palm strike with a force of over 500 billion Jin. The last palm strike. The statue stacked its palms in front of its body and pressed them toward Yi Chunfeng. As the palm descended, layers upon layers of space were distorted, and ear-piercing sonic booms rang out incessantly. Take on my punches, too. Yi Chunfeng let out a long roar and leaped high into the air. He threw a punch at the descending palm aura. The terrifying fist aura was like a meteor, shattering the descending palm aura as easily as crushing dry weeds. It ruthlessly bombarded the statue's body. In an instant, it erupted with a force of over 1 trillion Jin, directly causing the statue to take a few steps back. Not bad, not bad. After so many years, you're the first person to force me back. Perhaps you can really pass the ultimate test and leave this place. Looking at Yi Chunfeng, who had greatly exceeded his expectations, the eyes of the divine statue shone brightly, revealing a hint of anticipation. Senior, can I enter the shrine now? Yi Chunfeng smiled and asked. Of course you can. The statue nodded. I wish you good luck. With that, the statue no longer spoke as if it had fallen into a deep slumber. After adjusting his breathing, Yi Chunfeng stepped onto the ancient staircase and entered the shrine. When he pushed open the ancient shrine's doors, a vigorous aura gushed out of the shrine, forming a powerful current that blew at his body. This is the path of 10,000 swords. After entering the shrine, Yi Chuanfeng discovered a straight continent in front of him. This continent was paved with tens of thousands of divine swords, leading to the deepest part of the shrine. Buzz, buzz, buzz. As he stepped onto the path of 10,000 swords, Yi Chuanfeng immediately felt the ground beneath his feet tremble. Unparalleled sword light shot out at an indiscernible speed, attacking Yi Chuanfeng's body. Although the sword light condensed from the path of 10,000 swords was powerful, it was unable to pose a threat to Yi Chuanfeng. He constantly waved his arms, forming a powerful ripple space in front of him, constantly shattering the sword light that was attacking him. However, as he went deeper into the shrine, more and more sword light surged out from the path of 10,000 swords, constantly slowing down his progress. Invincible sword body. Looking at the dazzling sword light in front of him, Yi Chuanfeng activated the powerful invincible sword body, transforming into the invincible sword god, standing on the path of 10,000 swords. Under the influence of the invincible sword body, the path of 10,000 swords trembled. The divine swords that formed the path of 10,000 swords seemed to have seen the King of Swords, not daring to attack again. They stood upright in the air, as if they were bowing to Yi Chuanfeng. Glancing at the vertical divine swords, Yi Chuanfeng smiled faintly, stepped on the void, and walked step by step into the depths of the shrine. And in the space that he walked through, all the divine swords stood upright in the air. Soon, Yi Chuanfeng arrived at the end of the daunting path of 10,000 swords. He saw two bare-chested, white-haired, skinny old men sitting cross-legged. "Kill us, and you can continue forward." The two white-haired old men opened their eyes and said in deep voices as they looked at Yi Chuanfeng, whose body was brimming with sword intent. "You two are the inheritors trapped here?" Yi Chuanfeng vaguely guessed their identities. "That's right. We were the inheritors who came here before you." The two white-haired old men nodded and said, "We've had enough of loneliness. Only death can free us. If you want to die, why don't you do it yourselves or kill each other?" Yi Chuanfeng asked in confusion. "It's useless. After we failed the trial, we were restricted by the rules of this place. We can't commit suicide or kill each other. We can only be killed by the new inheritors." The two white-haired old men shook their heads, revealing a hint of anger. "I didn't think that the ultimate inheritance of the spiritual race would have such rules." Yi Chuanfeng muttered to himself, and under the restrictions of these rules, the trial would definitely be more difficult. "All right, stop talking nonsense. Quickly come and kill us." As they spoke, the two white-haired old men who were restricted by the power of the Cave of Death held two rusty divine weapons in their hands and fiercely attacked Yi Chuanfeng. "All right, then let me send you into the cycle of reincarnation." Yi Chuanfeng took a step forward, and his ancestral sword soul flew out of his sea of soul. It turned into a black light in midair, crushing the attacks of the two old men. With a slash of his sword, he split one of the white-haired old men and sent him into the cycle of reincarnation. Ancestral sword soul. Seeing Yi Chuanfeng summon his ancestral sword soul, the remaining old man's eyes lit up. "It seems that you really have a chance of passing the trial." As he spoke, he burned his powerful bloodline power and pushed his combat strength to the limit. He fused it with the divine weapon in his hand and slashed at Yi Chuanfeng with the thought of dying. "I must obtain the ultimate inheritance of the spiritual pearl." Yi Chuanfeng replied domineeringly. He controlled his ancestral sword soul and slashed down, shattering the white-haired old man and his divine weapon. Chapter 1940. Another statue. In the depths of the temple, Yi Chuanfeng found another statue. Although this statue was not as large as the one outside the temple, the aura it exuded far surpassed that of the statue outside. It was suspected to have the strength of a half-step progenitor. The statue suddenly opened its tightly shut eyes and looked at Yi Chuanfeng without a trace of emotion. "Successor, you were able to pass the path of 10,000 swords. which shows that your talent is extraordinary. However, the following test is far more terrifying than the path of 10,000 swords. You must be mentally prepared. As it spoke, a starry sky path appeared behind the statue. On the starry sky path stood 108 statues. The path of spiritualists is an ancient path that my spirit race's founding ancestor spent 10,000 years to create. You can pass by defeating 108 statues in a row. Those who fail will be forever trapped on the path of spiritualists. Also, because many successors have come here to challenge the path of spiritualists over the countless years, there are even people who are trapped on the path of spiritualists. If you meet them, you will be challenged by them again. All right, successor, prepare well. You can accept the test of the path of spiritualists. I hope you can pass it. With that, the statue no longer spoke and returned to a deep slumber. The path of spiritualists. Although Yi Chunfeng was powerful, he did not rashly challenge it. Instead, he sat cross-legged outside the path of spiritualists and silently adjusted his breathing, adjusting his state to its peak. Phew, it's time to challenge it. After adjusting his state, Yi Chunfeng let out a long sigh of relief. He slowly stood up and stepped onto the ancient path that led to the distant starry sky behind the statue. The moment Yi Chunfeng stepped onto the starry sky path, endless starlight shone in front of him. A statue that was several hundred feet tall and exuded an ancient aura appeared in front of him. Just as Yi Chunfeng was staring at the statue in silence, the statue suddenly opened its tightly shut eyes and shot out millions of rays of light. In the next moment, a stone sword that was several hundred feet long appeared in the statue's hand. With a destructive power, it slashed at Yi Chunfeng. Ancestor-level sword soul break. Yi Chunfeng summoned his ancestral sword spirit to receive the incoming stone sword with terrifying might. After fusing with the ancestral sword crystal, the ancestral sword spirit's power was comparable to that of a top-grade ancestral artifact. After clashing head-on, the stone sword in the statue's hand shattered without any suspense. The ancestral sword spirit pierced into the statue's body like a hot knife through butter. The terrifying sword might directly shattered the several dozen-meter-tall statue. Pass! After destroying the statue with one strike, Yi Chunfeng heard a deep voice ring out in his ears. The starry sky in the distance suddenly lit up as a second statue appeared. The statues on the path of the spiritual practitioner were extremely hard and had terrifying offensive power. However, to Yi Chunfeng, a two-star Dao ancestor who had condensed his sword soul to the ancestor realm, they were not dangerous at all. Under the attack of the ancestral sword soul, the statues shattered one after another, unable to stop Yi Chunfeng's advance. Soon, Yi Chunfeng had destroyed 34 statues. At the 35th table of statues, he saw a white-haired old man sitting on the ground. He seemed to be in a deep sleep, and there were no fluctuations of aura coming from his body. 5-star Yao Celestial. With the God-Eater brain, Yi Chunfeng sensed the aura of a Yao Celestial from the old man's body. He guessed that he was a 5-star Yao Celestial. Roar, roar, roar. Yi Chunfeng stepped forward. As he neared the 5-star Yao Celestial, earth-shattering roars rang out from his body. A giant black tortoise phantom emerged from his body and roared at Yi Chunfeng. Black tortoise. Looking at the gigantic black tortoise phantom, Yi Chunfeng's expression did not change at all. He took a step forward, and his ancestral sword spirit flew out of his sea of soul, leaving a deep sword mark in the air. He slashed apart the black tortoise phantom with one sword strike, and cut the unresponsive old man in half. The moment the old man died, Yi Chunfeng clearly saw the corners of his mouth curl up slightly. Clearly, death was a release for him. After killing the old man with a single slash, Yi Chunfeng controlled his ancestral sword soul to continue attacking. He killed another statue that was close to the peak of the 5-star deity realm. The 35th statue is already at the peak of the 5-star deity realm. Then, wouldn't the statues behind it be at the ancestor realm? Yi Chunfeng looked at the path of the spiritual practitioner that led to the distant starry sky and muttered to himself, but the spirit race's overall strength doesn't seem to be very strong. What kind of secret is this spirit race hiding? Yi Chen-feng felt that the ultimate secret of the spirit race's inheritance was not simple. With a strong sense of curiosity, he continued to challenge the powerful statues on the path of the spiritual practitioner. Just as Yi Chen-feng was accepting the spirit race's inheritance test in the Cave of Death, he felt the threat of the divine race. The divine race and the ancient race secretly formed an alliance. When a human emperor returned to the Kunlun Holy Land and saw the terror of supreme God Heaven, he immediately chose to go into seclusion to break through to a higher realm to deal with the threat of the divine race. The palace in the sky, the holy land of the divine race, where supreme God Heaven cultivated. Patriarch of Supreme God, Yi Chen-feng has too many trump cards. I was unable to capture him. Please punish me. The patriarch of the bird race, the usually arrogant and insufferably arrogant golden rock demonic ancestor, knelt before a golden throne carved with the divine plume of the phoenix, and spoke in fear. As for the patriarch of the beast race, the low-level, empty god realm mighty ape, although he did not kneel, he lowered his huge body as beads of sweat appeared on his broad forehead. It's not your fault. Yi Chen-feng has an empty god weapon and 3 half-step empty gods protecting him. Even my external embodiment was killed by him. It's normal that you're not his match. Supreme God Heaven, who was wearing a dark golden robe, said in a deep voice. His entire body had merged with the space, and his entire body was illusory. Patriarch of Supreme God, if I may be so bold as to ask, what is the background of Yi Chen-feng? Golden Rock demonic ancestor asked. It's not hard to guess his background. Supreme God Heaven said slowly. He has the chaotic divine wood, and his surname is Yi. He is also entangled with the divine race. Whose descendant do you think he is? Yi Wuji. Could he be the descendant of Yi Wuji, the #1 independent cultivator in the Void God world? Golden Rock demonic ancestor's pupils shrank as he thought of a terrifying name. That's right. He should be the descendant of Yi Wuji. Supreme God Heaven nodded and said, Yi Chen-feng is not simple. Not only did he control Little Six Dao, but he also raised his son. Once Yi Chen-feng grows up, he will be a huge threat to the divine race. Tell me, where did you lose track of Yi Chen-feng? Outside the Dead Sea, Golden Rock demonic ancestor said in fear. The Dead Sea? Why'd he go there? Could it be that there's a great opportunity in the Dead Sea that has not been destroyed? Supreme God Heaven felt that Yi Chen-feng would not go to the Dead Sea for no reason. There must be a reason for him to go to the Dead Sea. Oh yes, have you found the whereabouts of the Phoenix God? No, the Phoenix God seems to have disappeared from the world. We have not found any trace of her. Golden Rock demonic ancestor and Mighty Ape demonic ancestor shook their heads. I'll leave these 2 external incarnations to you. Take my external incarnation and continue to search for the whereabouts of the Phoenix God. Find her at all costs and interrogate her for the exact location of the Great Desolation Tomb. Supreme God Heaven gave the 2 external incarnations that he had spent a lot of effort to refine to the Golden Rock demonic ancestor and said, As for that Yi Chen-feng, leave him to me. I will destroy him. Yes, Patriarch of Supreme God. Chapter 1941. Phew, the 95th statue. Yi Chen-feng let out a long sigh of relief. He looked at the 95th statue, which was equivalent to a 1-star Dao ancestor, and walked toward the 96th statue. Although the statues were getting stronger and stronger, they were still unable to stop Yi Chen-feng's footsteps. After killing all the way, he was nearing the end of the spiritualist path. In 3 Inheritors, when he walked to the 96th statue, Yi Chen-feng saw 3 white-haired people sitting cross-legged under the statue. They were 2 men and 1 woman from different races. The 3 of them had been trapped in the spiritualist path for countless years. The clothes on their upper bodies had long been eroded, and they were naked. However, as the 3 of them were too old, especially the woman, whose entire body was full of wrinkles and whose figure was severely deformed, Yi Chen-feng was not willing to look at them anymore. Kill, kill, kill. Seeing Yi Chunfeng walking toward them step by step, the three inheritors, who had long been tormented by loneliness, opened their eyes at the same time. They released surging killing intent and attacked Yi Chunfeng. 3 one-star Ancestor Realm Almighties. Sensing the strength of the three, Yi Chunfeng could not help but sigh at their fates. If they were not trapped here, with their strength, they would definitely live a wonderful life. Sword steps. Yi Chunfeng took a step forward, and a mysterious sword diagram formed under his feet. A large number of sword patterns flew out at a speed visible to the naked eye, crushing the attacks of the three. In the next moment, the power of space behind Yi Chunfeng surged, condensing into 3 extremely powerful dimensional slashes. They were like 3 crescent moons that fell to the mortal world, slashing toward the three, directly sending them flying. 2-star Dao Ancestor. Sensing Yi Chunfeng's strength, the three saw the hope of freedom. Under the restrictions of the Death Cave's rules, they all burned their powerful bloodline power and launched fatal attacks at Yi Chunfeng without any regard for their lives. Sigh, let me send you into the cycle of reincarnation. Yi Chunfeng sighed softly as he looked at the 3 one-star progenitor realm powerhouses who had tragic fates. He controlled his ancestor-level sword soul and slashed down. It turned into a black sword light that traversed through the void. Like a spatial crack that was constantly expanding, it directly split the bodies of the 3 powerhouses apart and ended their lives. Break! After killing the 3 of them, Yi Chunfeng controlled his ancestor-level sword spirit to float above his head. It turned into a huge sword that was dozens of feet long. Boundless Dao Will fell from the sword as it slashed at the 96th statue. Before he could attack, the indestructible statue was split into 2. Phew, only 12 statues left, and I'll be able to pass the path of spiritual practitioners. Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and walked towards the 97th statue. 97, 98, 98, 99, 100. When Yi Chunfeng arrived at the 100th statue, he felt a power that was no weaker than his own from the statue. And under this 2-star Dao Ancestor Realm statue sat 7 inheritors who had been trapped on the Dao Ancestor Realm for countless years. Yi Chunfeng's arrival woke them up. Under the Death Cave's rules, they stimulated their full strength and launched their strongest attacks at Yi Chunfeng. Godless Sword. The 7 Ancestor Realm Almighties attacked. Yi Chunfeng summoned the Demon Sealing Sword, activating the mysterious ancestral runes carved on the Chaos Stones in the Demon Sealing Sword, stabbing out with the brilliance of heaven and earth. It was an invincible sword. Cheat. With a slash of the sword, a huge gap was torn open in the space. The combined attack of the 7 Ancestor Realm experts was directly shattered by the Godless Sword, and their bodies were also cut open by the Godless Sword, dying on the spot. Yi Chunfeng killed 7 Ancestor Realm Almighties with a single sword, awakening the 100th statue. He opened his bell-like eyes and held an incomparably huge hammer in his hand. Like swinging a huge mountain, he smashed towards Yi Chunfeng. Yi Chunfeng took a step forward as the mountain-like hammer smashed towards him. More than 700 billion gene of strength erupted and poured into his right fist as he punched out. Boom! The fist collided with the heavy hammer. More than 700 billion gene of strength poured into the heavy hammer, directly shattering the mountain-like hammer and causing the several hundred feet tall statue to retreat step by step. Heaven and Earth Star Seal. After shaking the statue with one punch, Yi Chunfeng's hands quickly condensed into a giant hand imprint that seemed to contain the stars of heaven and earth. He ruthlessly smashed it into the giant statue, shattering it. Phew, there are still 8 statues left. Although Yi Chunfeng was powerful and had the Grand Mist blood, the continuous fierce battle had also consumed a lot of his spirit. He took a deep breath and looked towards the end of the spiritualist path. He took heavy steps and walked over step by step. Boom, boom, boom. Deafening sounds of explosions rang out continuously on the spiritualist path. At the end, Yi Chunfeng encountered greater challenges. However, The statues on the spiritualist path were not enough to force Yi Chunfeng to burn the grand mist blood and transform into the invincible sword body. 101, 102, 103. Yi Chunfeng wielded the demon's sealing sword and slaughtered his way through. He continuously killed the inheritors who were trapped on the path of spiritualists and could not leave. He destroyed the incomparably powerful statues and finally arrived at the last statue, the 108th statue. What a beautiful woman. Yi Chunfeng's eyes lit up as he saw a woman sitting cross-legged under the last golden statue. She was wearing a snow-white long dress. Her long black hair draped over her shoulders, and her charming face glowed with a luster. Although Yi Chunfeng had seen many beautiful women, when he saw this woman, he still fell into a momentary daze. But in the next moment, the God-Eater brain, which was rapidly deducing, detected a sealed demonic qi in the woman's body. And this demonic qi was so strong that it seemed to have reached the level of a 3-star Tao ancestor. The demon race. Yi Chunfeng had never had a good impression of the demon race. When he felt the demonic qi in the woman's body, he no longer had any pity in his heart. He walked over with heavy steps. When he arrived in front of the motionless woman in the white dress, the woman's snow-white dress suddenly swelled up. Then, the snow-white dress shattered, revealing a flawless body with snow-white skin. Under the starlight, her twin peaks gave off rays of light. Her slender waist and the exaggerated curve of her buttocks attracted Yi Chunfeng's gaze like poison. While Yi Chunfeng was momentarily dazed, the woman suddenly opened her tightly shut eyes. With a wave of her hand, she fired off several thousand black poison needles at Yi Chunfeng. The woman's calculated attack was extremely fast, so fast that it was too much for the eye to take in. But Yi Chunfeng was wearing a medium-quality ancestral dragon armor, so he simply did not fear this attack. With a series of vibrations, the black poison needles were completely blocked by the dragon armor, unable to harm Yi Chunfeng in the slightest. Ancestral battle armor. Upon seeing Yi Chunfeng's body appear, the woman grimaced, and the armor emitting draconic might emitted by the 2 dragon heads embedded in it. After all, ancestral battle armors were extremely rare in the faux god world. Only a few major characters of the faux god world possessed them. The value of each piece was unimaginable. A good plan. Yi Chunfeng looked at the woman whose face paled, revealing a charming spring glow, and said, "Now, I finally know what the rules of this death cave are. If you can kill me, you should have a second chance to challenge the spirit race's ultimate inheritance, right? That's right. If I kill you, I can challenge the spirit race's ultimate inheritance again. With my current strength, I have a high chance of obtaining the ultimate treasure here and leaving this damned place." Although her body was completely exposed in front of Yi Chunfeng, the female lead did not show any signs of shyness and admitted it generously. A good idea. Yi Chunfeng looked at the beautiful woman and said, "Unfortunately, you are too weak." After saying that, Yi Chunfeng summoned the Death Scythe and used the way of controlling equipment, fully activating the Death Scythe's offensive power as he tossed it at the beautiful woman. Swish! The beautiful woman's attack was broken, and her body was cleaved apart by the Death Scythe. After cleaving apart the deity statue, the Death Scythe's might did not decrease as it struck the final deity statue. Bang! The 108th deity statue shattered. The terrifying Death Scythe cleaved open the end of the spiritualist path, opening the exit. Chapter 1942. Congratulations, Inheritor. You are the 32nd person to break through the spiritual practitioner's path. I hope you can pass the final test and obtain the ultimate treasure here. When Yi Chunfeng threw out the death sickle and broke through the spiritual practitioner's path, the statue's voice rang in his ears. 32 people. It seems that I will encounter quite a challenge. Yi Chunfeng took a deep breath and transformed into an afterimage. He flew up and passed through the spatial entrance, arriving at a mysterious space where he saw the 3rd statue of a god. Inheritor, your strength is not bad. However, the following life and death test will be more dangerous. In a life and death test, your strength will be suppressed. Your enemy's realm will either be the same as yours or be stronger than yours. Moreover, in a life and death test, you can only rely on your own strength. You are not allowed to borrow any external force. The statue spoke and explained the rules of the test. Suppress your realm and do not use external force. Yi Chen-feng did not expect the life and death test to be so harsh. However, he had the primordial blood, cultivated the invincible sword body, and condensed the ancestral sword soul. He was like a human-shaped ancestral artifact. Even if he did not borrow any external force, he could still unleash the power of a top-grade ancestral artifact. Well, the entrance to the life and death test is behind me. You can go in and challenge it at any time. After saying that, a space entrance appeared behind the statue. A strange power surged out from the entrance. Huff! Yi Chen-feng took a deep breath and sat cross-legged in the space entrance. He adjusted his state and recovered the soul power that he had consumed. He was ready to challenge the life and death test in his best state. Soon, 3 days passed. After 3 days of adjustment, Yi Chen-feng adjusted his state to the best. He slowly stood up and flew into the life and death test space. What a powerful suppression power! After entering the life and death test space, Yi Chen-feng immediately felt a powerful suppression on him. It forcibly suppressed his realm to the peak of a 6-star Dao god, suppressing my realm by 2 levels. There must be a treasure in this death cave. Yi Chen-feng was not an ordinary 2-star Dao ancestor. His foundation was equivalent to that of a 3-star Dao ancestor, but in this life and death test space, his realm was forcibly suppressed by 2 levels, which shocked him. However, although his cultivation realm was suppressed, his grand mist blood and powerful physical strength were not affected. Moreover, Yi Chen-feng was surprised to discover that his life treasure, the primal divine wood, was not restrained by this life and death trial space. He could summon it to attack. Yi Chen-feng stood in silence. He closed his eyes and quietly adapted to the terrifying suppressive power. Then he followed the only ancient path in this space and walked towards the end of the life and death test space. As he walked, Yi Chen-feng noticed an old man with snow-white hair in front of him. The old man had a sword in his hands, and his head was lowered. There was not a trace of aura coming from his body, as if he had passed away. The pinnacle of the 6-star Dao gods. Yi Chen-feng controlled the God-Eater brain to sense for a moment and discovered that there was a powerful force sealed within the white-haired elder's body. It was suspected to be an ancestor realm expert. However, he was suppressed by the power of space. Like him, he was unable to exert his full strength. Yi Chen-feng walked with even steps. When he was 5 meters in front of the old man suddenly raised his head. Endless golden light shot out from his turbid old eyes and penetrated Yi Chen-feng. What a sharp gaze! Yi Chen-feng's heart skipped a beat. He did not expect the old man's gaze to be so sharp that it gave him a feeling of being penetrated. Buzz, buzz, buzz! A series of ear-piercing sword sounds rang out. Feeling the old man's recovery power, the snakeskin scabbard in his arms trembled. A powerful sword intent permeated from a scabbard. Defeat me, and you can continue to move forward. Lose or die. The white-haired elder made a cold voice. An extremely sharp, long sword, which had reached the level of a supreme-grade, transcendent sacred artifact, flew out of the snakeskin scabbard. It interweaved into sharp sword shadows in midair and attacked Yi Chen-feng. Under the dense sword shadows, Yi Chen-feng took a step forward and threw out a punch. A force of over 500 billion kilograms surged out from Yi Chen-feng's fist like a tidal wave. It shattered the incoming sword shadows and struck the supreme-grade, transcendent sacred sword. The terrifying force almost snapped the sword in half. Sunflower Tidal Sword. Seeing the might of Yi Chen-feng's punch, the white-haired elder's deep eyes shone with endless light. His bloodline was completely ignited as he channeled his powerful way of the sword. He used his strongest sword move to attack Yi Chen-feng. At this moment, the white-haired elder seemed to have transformed into a surging tide. Sword shadows, each stronger than the last, swept through the void and attacked Yi Chenfeng. True Soul Dragon Wrestling Fist. The white-haired elder attacked with a sunflower tidal sword. Yi Chenfeng continued to increase his physical strength. He threw out a devastating punch that could kill a true dragon as he continuously bombarded the sunflower tidal sword. Boom, boom, boom. The two powerful attacks collided, erupting with a world-shaking destructive force. The shockwaves caused the entire space to rupture. A mountain-toppling force swept out in all directions. Dimensional Slash. When Yi Chenfeng unleashed the true spirit-fighting dragon fist and forcefully tore apart the sunflower tidal sword, Yi Chenfeng mobilized the powerful power of space and formed three-dimensional light slashes above his head. He slashed towards the white-haired old man, forcing him to be unable to continue attacking and dodge with all his might. Spatial Storm. When the white-haired old man dodged the three extremely powerful dimensional light slashes with a strange footwork, Yi Chenfeng unleashed the rule of space, forming a terrifying spatial storm. It directly engulfed the white-haired old man, who was unable to dodge and crazily destroyed his physical body. You've actually grasped the way of space. The way of space was extremely powerful. Within the spatial storm, the white-haired elder's body constantly cracked. In the end, he used all his strength to tear open the spatial storm and escape in a sorry state. Excuse me. As the white-haired elder escaped in a sorry state, Yi Chenfeng suddenly accelerated time. Like an arrow released from a bow, he appeared in front of the white-haired elder and punched at his chest. Boom! The white-haired old man's body trembled. His defense was broken by Yi Chenfeng's punch. His chest was also pierced through by this punch. A large amount of blood spurted out as he fell heavily to the ground. As he struggled to crawl to his feet, Yi Chenfeng punched out a second time, shattering his head and killing him. After killing the white-haired elder, Yi Chenfeng picked up the blood-stained supreme-grade Skylink Saint Sword and continued down the ancient path. After walking over 1,000 steps, Yi Chenfeng suddenly came to a stop. He discovered that a waterfall of light had appeared in front of him, and beneath the waterfall of light sat 4 men in black armor. They held sharp swords in their hands, and their expressions didn't change at all. Sword Puppet. Looking at the 4 men in black battle armor, Yi Chenfeng recognized that they were the powerful puppets refined by the Spirit Clan. Moreover, their battle prowess seemed to have reached the half-martial ancestor realm, surpassing Yi Chenfeng, whose cultivation was suppressed. This life-or-death trial is truly difficult. As he thought of the sword puppet's defenses, Yi Chenfeng felt a little troubled. Chapter 1943. Come, let me see what level your defenses have reached. Yi Chenfeng took a deep breath and walked toward the 4 half-martial ancestor sword puppets with a supreme-grade, sky-piercing, sacred sword in hand. Sensing Yi Chenfeng's approach, the 4 sword puppets simultaneously opened their eyes. For surging sword intents erupted from their bodies and pierced the sky. Kacha! Yi Chenfeng's right hand exerted strength and shattered the supreme-grade, sky-piercing sacred sword in his hand. He then fused the ancestral sword soul into the shattered swords and shot them at the 4 sword puppets. The 4 sword puppets did not dodge. Instead, they raised their pitch-black swords to meet the oncoming swords. Chi! 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 Sparks lit up on the bodies of the 4 sword spirit puppets. The bodies of the 4 sword spirit puppets were cut by the broken swords infused with the ancestral sword spirits, leaving behind sword scars. Low-grade ancestral artifact defenses. Seeing the sword scars on the 4 sword puppets' bodies, Yi Chenfeng had a basic understanding of their defenses. Without wasting any time, Yi Chenfeng stimulated all the sword Dao energy in his body, transformed into the strongest, invincible sword body, and fused with the ancestral sword soul. Kill! 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 The moment Yi Chenfeng transformed into the invincible sword body, the 4 sword puppets immediately charged at Yi Chenfeng with their sturdy black swords. Sword domain break. Without waiting for the 4 sword puppets to get close, Yi Chenfeng activated his sword domain and enveloped the 4 sword puppets. Ka! 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 The sword domain's attacks shattered the armor on the four sword puppets' bodies, and their low-grade ancestral artifact bodies were pierced through by the sword domain's power. In less than 10 breaths of time, the powerful sword puppets with astonishing defenses were shattered into pieces and scattered across the ground. After killing the four sword spirit puppets, Yi Chenfeng took a step forward. His terrifying sword domain turned into a divine sword that reached the heavens and the earth. With a slash, he split open the sky and continued forward. Before long, Yi Chenfeng was blocked by another powerful sword puppet. However, under the attack of the sword domain, the powerful sword spirit puppets were unable to stop Yi Chenfeng's advance. Very quickly, the invincible Yi Chenfeng had walked for tens of thousands of meters before he was stopped by a huge stone tablet. Stone steel. As Yi Chenfeng looked at the smooth stone steel on the back of the divine beast, he walked over without any hesitation. There was not a single word on it. Roar! As Yi Chenfeng approached, the sword puppet suddenly opened its bloody mouth and let out a terrifying roar at Yi Chenfeng. As for the stone tablet that was as smooth as a mirror, a large number of ancient words appeared at this moment. They formed a mysterious attack chant and attacked Yi Chenfeng. Invincible sword body slash. Both the sword puppet and the stone steel attacked at the same time. Yi Chenfeng transformed his body into a sword and slashed out with an invincible sword. As the sword slashed out, an invincible sword might struck fear into the hearts of those who saw it. The terrifying sword light was like a raging sea that tore through space, breaking through the attacks of the stone steel and the sword puppet before slashing at the stone steel. Kacha! After receiving the attack of Yi Chenfeng's invincible sword body, the stone steel immediately began to crack, extending all the way to the sword puppet and splitting it apart. Theurgy, tyrannical kick. Yi Chenfeng leaped up high, gathered all his strength in his right foot, and stomped on the broken stone steel. The jumbo footprint, which was filled with the power of hundreds of millions of kilograms, directly crushed the stone steel together with the sword puppet. After crushing the stone steel with one foot, Yi Chenfeng did not slow down and continued to move forward. Successor, you are really good. The speed at which you pass the test of life and death is really unexpected. Yi Chenfeng walked thousands of steps quickly, but he was stopped by a burly man who was more than 6 meters tall, wearing a lion head armor and holding a dragon head longsword. The ultimate one-star Tao ancestor sword puppet. Sensing the strength of the armored man in front of him, Yi Chenfeng's expression did not change much. According to common sense, a 6-star Tao god could not defeat a 1-star Tao ancestor without external help. However, for Yi Chenfeng, who had the invincible sword body and the sword realm, it was not difficult for him. However, this time, Yi Chenfeng did not use the sword realm to directly destroy the armored man. Instead, he relied on his absolute strength to rush forward. He wanted to use the armored man to temper himself and lay the most solid cultivation foundation for breaking through to the 3-star Tao ancestor realm. Boom, boom, boom. Yi Chenfeng activated his sword steps, activated more than 700 billion kilograms of physical strength, and fought fiercely with the armored man. Although the dragon head long sword in the armored man's hand was of an extraordinary level, it could not break through the defense of the invincible sword body. True spirit fighting dragon fist. The fierce battle reached its climax. Yi Chenfeng used the powerful fighting dragon fist, constantly smashing the armored man's attacks and attacking him. Again and again, he sent the armored man's hard body flying. Energy burn. After being repeatedly sent flying by Yi Chenfeng, the armored man burned a large amount of energy to increase his combat strength. Holding the dragon head long sword, he continued to fight fiercely with Yi Chenfeng. However, no matter how much he increased his combat strength, he could not break through Yi Chenfeng's invincible sword body. His hard body was constantly being slashed by the ancestor-level sword soul, leaving crisscrossing cracks. Die! The armored man burned all the energy in his body to the extreme. Holding the dragon head long sword with both hands, he slashed at Yi Chenfeng with a force that could split heaven and earth. Time acceleration by 10 times. The terrifying dragon-patterned sword radiance attacked. Yi Qianfeng suddenly increased his speed by 10 times and dodged several times in an instant. He dodged the armored man's fatal attack and appeared beside him. He unleashed more than 700 billion kilograms of strength and continued to attack the armored man's body. The armored man's defense was amazing, but he still could not withstand Yi Qianfeng's fist radiance. In addition to the ancestor-level Sword Soul's attacks, the armored man could not withstand the attacks and shattered. The battle can end now. Yi Qianfeng did not waste any more time. He took a step forward and activated his sword domain, which turned into an unparalleled sword light. The sword light split the entire space, shattering the armor of the armored man, whose defense was rapidly decreasing, into two halves, killing him on the spot. After killing the one-star Dao ancestor-level armored man, Yi Qianfeng did not continue to move forward. He sat cross-legged where he was, silently adjusting his breath and recovering his state. As time passed, the invincible sword body he activated gradually disappeared. However, after the battle with the armor man just now, his cultivation foundation was obviously more solid. About 3 days later, Yi Qianfeng adjusted his state and continued to follow the ancient road, walking into the depths of the life and death test space. No more tests? But this time, he walked hundreds of thousands of steps quickly and did not encounter a single test taker, which surprised him. As he walked, he suddenly found an incomparably huge stone in front of him, blocking his path. When he approached the stone, the sensitive God-Eater brain sensed a powerful life aura from the stone. Stone Clan Expert. Chapter 1944. Finally, there's a new challenger. I hope you won't disappoint me. As Yi Qianfeng stared at the huge stone, a hoarse voice rang out from the stone. The terrifying voice shook the entire space. Don't worry, I'll give you a surprise. Although the expert in front of him was very powerful and was suspected to be a 2-star stone ancestor, it was still not much of a challenge to Yi Qianfeng. Ha! I hope your strength is as strong as your words. A deafening laughter rang out from the huge stone. The entire stone distorted and finally turned into an incomparably strong and tall stone man holding a pair of stone axes. By the way, my name is Ling Xiao. I was once the #1 genius of the Stone Clan. If you die, you must remember my name. Ling Xiao was even more arrogant than Yi Qianfeng, and he said arrogantly, Ling Xiao, not a bad name, but it's a pity that you're going to become a real stone soon. Yi Qianfeng smiled and said without backing down, Is that so? Then let me see how you're going to crush me. As Ling Xiao spoke, a powerful force erupted from his body. His stone body constantly changed, and the terrifying pressure was suffocating. Rumble! Ling Xiao punched out, and the entire space trembled violently. The terrifying force shattered the layers of air and collided with Yi Qianfeng's fist. When the two extremely disproportionate fists collided, a terrifying force was released at the same time, and dense sonic booms rang out. Dang, dang, dang. After facing Ling Xiao's fist head-on, Yi Qianfeng's body trembled, and he was forced to retreat by the force of this fist. His arm even showed a severe numbness. More than 100 million gene of strength. Yi Qianfeng raised his eyebrows slightly. He did not expect Ling Xiao's strength to be so terrifying, surpassing that of a high-level divine demon. Brat, did you not eat? After forcing Yi Qianfeng back with a punch, Ling Xiao became even more arrogant and said arrogantly, Primordial bloodline, burn. Yi Qianfeng's pupil shrank. He burned his primordial bloodline and instantly broke through the suppression. He regained the strength of a 2-star Dao ancestor, and his physical strength exceeded 1 trillion kilograms. At this time, Ling Xiao swung his hammer-like fist and smashed it over again. He wanted to rely on absolute strength to defeat Yi Qianfeng in one fell swoop. Boom! Yi Qianfeng and Ling Xiao's fists collided for the second time. However, this time, Yi Qianfeng did not move an inch like a boulder. However, Ling Xiao, who was as tall as a moving mountain, was sent flying by Yi Qianfeng's punch. He flew several thousand meters, and his hard fist cracked. Ow, how is this possible? How did your strength increase so quickly? Shi Ling Xiao widened his eyes and looked at Yi Feng as if he was looking at a monster. He could not believe that Yi Feng, who was suppressed by his strength just a moment ago, had surpassed him in strength in the blink of an eye. Why are you surprised? Yi Feng smiled and said, "Your knowledge is a bit too low." After saying that, Yi Feng launched a fierce attack on Shi Ling Xiao with a strength of over 1 trillion kilograms. They fought fiercely on the ancient road. Yi Feng's fighting strength was beyond imagination. It forced Shi Ling Xiao to constantly stimulate his potential and increase his fighting strength to resist Yi Feng's fierce attacks. However, Yi Feng's physical strength completely crushed him. No matter how much he increased his fighting strength, he could not resist Yi Feng's fierce attacks. He was sent flying again and again by Yi Feng's fists. However, Shi Ling Xiao's defensive strength was comparable to that of a divine demon. Relying on his powerful physical strength, he gritted his teeth and bitterly held on. "Let's see how many of my punches you can resist." Yi Feng looked at Shi Ling Xiao, who was desperately trying to defend. He erupted with a strength of over 1 trillion kilograms and constantly launched a tidal wave of attacks at Shi Ling Xiao. Life ignition. After fighting for an incense stick's worth of time, Shi Ling Xiao was gradually unable to resist Yi Feng's fierce attacks. He had no choice but to ignite his powerful life force and borrow the majestic life force to resist Yi Feng. True Spirit Dragon Wrestling Fist. Shi Ling Xiao ignited his life force, and his fighting strength increased greatly. However, he was still unable to reverse the situation. At this time, Yi Feng began to use powerful divine abilities. He blasted out fist lights that could kill a true dragon and attacked Shi Ling Xiao. He continued to suppress Shi Ling Xiao's offensive and did not give him a chance to breathe. Mother asterisk her. How is this possible? He's just a human. How can he have such strength? Shi Ling Xiao was full of confidence in his own strength. He believed that he could easily kill a divine demon in the same realm. However, facing Yi Feng, whose physical strength was not that strong, he was restrained in every way. His indestructible body was even blasted apart by Yi Feng's powerful divine abilities. Shi Ling Xiao, your strength is not that great. I really don't know where your confidence comes from. Seeing Shi Ling Xiao retreating step by step, with cracks appearing on his arms, Yi Feng revealed a mocking smile and deliberately provoked him. "Ah, human, I will definitely kill you." Yi Feng's words deeply infuriated Shi Ling Xiao, causing him to be driven mad and enraged, causing him to attack Yi Feng without regard for anything else. Angry? But what's the use of being angry? Yi Feng smiled. Relying on his absolute strength, he continuously shattered Shi Ling Xiao's killing moves. Fist of Life. Shi Ling Xiao used all his skills, but still could not severely injure Yi Feng. Helpless, he cast a forbidden divine ability at all costs, burning his life as the price, and blasted the Fist of Life at Yi Feng. 3,000 God-transforming fist. The Fist of Life was like a blazing sun. Yi Feng did not dare to be careless. He immediately deduced a powerful Dao and blasted out 3,000 fist lights in an instant. Although the Fist of Life was powerful, it was slightly inferior to a supreme divine ability. It could not withstand the attack of the 3,000 God-transforming fist that Yi Feng deduced from the 4 ancestral Dao diagrams. Boom, boom, boom. Under the attack of the 3,000 God-transforming fist like a meteor shower, Shi Ling Xiao's Fist of Life was constantly shattered. It could not stop the killing of the 3,000 fist lights at all. After shattering the Fist of Life, the destructive fist lights continued to hit Shi Ling Xiao's mountain-like body. The terrifying power shattered his body like a hot knife through butter, directly shattering his body and sending him flying again. Yi Feng stepped forward with sword steps and appeared in front of the shattered Shi Ling Xiao. He said domineeringly, "Shi Ling Xiao, what other tricks do you have? Use them all. Otherwise, you won't have a chance." Fist of Life, exterminate the great enemy. The Fist of Life was Shi Lingxiao's strongest move. At the moment of life and death, he burned his life to the greatest extent and blasted out fist after fist of life at Yi Qianfeng, wanting to force him back. Sai, since you don't have any new moves, let me send you into the cycle of reincarnation. With that, Yi Qianfeng used the same trick and once again used the 3,000 God-transforming fist to meet Shi Lingxiao. The two invincible divine abilities collided, directly collapsing the space around the ancient road. The terrifying destructive power was like an ancient beast that had awakened, swallowing the two of them. Ancestral sword spirit slash. Relying on his powerful physical body, Yi Qianfeng summoned his ancestor-level sword soul and slashed at Shi Lingxiao, who was on the verge of collapsing and could no longer hold on. Gotcha! Chapter 1945. Huff. After shattering Shi Lingxiao's body, Yi Qianfeng took a deep breath. He didn't adjust his breathing to recover. Instead, he traversed the collapsed ancient road and continued forward. Along the way, Yi Qianfeng encountered many sword puppets. However, these sword puppets weren't very strong. Yi Qianfeng defeated them all with his powerful body alone. Something's not right. Just as Yi Qianfeng was slaughtering and advancing rapidly, the God-Eater brain, which was rapidly deducing, detected something strange in his body. He realized that every time he killed a sword puppet, there would be a very secretive force that was difficult to detect entering his body. Although this mysterious force was harmless to the body, as he killed more and more sword puppets, the mysterious force in his body grew stronger and stronger. It began to eat away at his body. This trial of life and death is indeed not simple. Yi Qianfeng didn't expect that this trial of life and death would have such a hidden danger. He immediately sat cross-legged on the ground and controlled the chaos divine wood that had taken root in his heart meridian to devour the mysterious force in his body. The chaos divine wood was the nemesis of all kinds of energy. Under the devouring of its five-colored roots, the mysterious force that was slowly eating away at Yi Qianfeng's body was reduced until it was completely devoured by the Chaos Divine Wood. Chaos Divine Wood, protect my body. With a thought, Yi Qianfeng controlled the Chaos Divine Wood to protect his body firmly. He stood up and continued forward. With the protection of the Chaos Divine Wood, Yi Qianfeng didn't encounter any more danger as he killed the sword puppet. Soon, he discovered that a lush forest appeared in front of the ancient road. In the forest, he sensed an aura that was even stronger than Shi Lingxiao's. A new challenge has finally come. Yi Qianfeng didn't hesitate and quickly arrived at the lush forest. The moment he stepped into the forest, he discovered that the entire forest had changed. The towering ancient trees seemed to have come alive. They controlled vines that were as thick as a child's arm and attacked Yi Qianfeng. However, when the extremely sharp vines came into contact with Yi Qianfeng's body, they were immediately shattered by the destructive power that filled his body. They were unable to harm him at all. All right, stop hiding. I've already found you. Yi Qianfeng said indifferently as he looked at an ancient tree in the distance. It wasn't tall, but it was very lush and bore many fruits. Your Excellency has good eyesight. You actually found me. A clear female voice rang out from the ancient tree. A woman with skin as white as jade and fine features like an elf walked out from the ancient tree. She was wearing a long green silk dress. Her feet were as delicate as jade, and her long black hair hung down to her waist. Her feet were as delicate as jade, and she walked out from the ancient tree barefooted. Elves! Looking at the woman in front of him, Yi Qianfeng's rapidly deducing aura immediately appeared in the god-devouring brain. Yi Qianfeng was surprised to learn that she was actually from the elf race, a race that had long disappeared from the entire universe. I didn't expect you to have such knowledge. You saw through my origins at a glance. The elf woman revealed a clear smile. My name is Mu Linger, the protector of this forest. If you want to pass through it, you have to defeat me. Defeat you? Not kill you? Yi Qianfeng creased his brows slightly as he spoke in a low voice. Kill me? We have no grievances or enmity, so why do you want to kill me so badly? Mu Linger wasn't angry, but her voice was pleasant. On my way here, everyone I met wanted to kill me. Yi Chen-feng said mildly. I am me, and they are them. Mu Linger said. They've been tortured to insanity by loneliness, so they're prepared to die. But I haven't lived enough yet. Moreover, I believe I'll definitely be able to leave this damn place alive, so I can't die. I can spare your life, but you have to answer one of my questions. Yi Chen-feng's eyes rolled as he spoke. What is it? Mu Linger asked. Are there still elves left in the Void God realm? Yi Chen-feng asked. There aren't any left in this universe, but there are others. Mu Linger said. What other universes? Mu Linger's words were like a heavy bomb that exploded in Yi Chen-feng's heart, creating huge waves in his heart. Stunned, he asked, could it be that there are other universes? Of course. Mu Linger nodded, her words leaving no room for doubt. According to the inherited memories of the elves, the only ruler of one universe, the only god, came from the elves. Inconceivable, truly inconceivable. Yi Chen-feng never expected to learn such important information from Mu Linger's mouth. All right, I'm going to start my attack. But no matter if it succeeds or not, you can't kill me. Mu Linger urged as she reached out with her pure, white hands. She quickly formed complicated hand seals and summoned a powerful surge of wood energy to merge with her own. Divine Tree Diagram, condense. In the next instant, Mu Linger merged with the entire forest to form a giant diagram of the Divine Tree Diagram in front of her. If you can break through my Divine Tree Diagram, then I'll consider you defeated me, and I'll let you leave immediately. Mu Linger said from behind the diagram. All right. Although Mu Linger's Divine Tree Diagram was very powerful, it wasn't hard for the God-devouring brain to break through. Yi Chen-feng closed his eyes and controlled the God-eater brain to quickly calculate. He released his soul energy to the maximum and merged it into the Divine Tree Diagram, looking for a flaw. Divine Tree Diagram, activate. While Yi Chen-feng was using the God-devouring brain to search for an opening, Mu Linger activated the Divine Tree Diagram. Streaks of green light shot out from the diagram like dragons to attack Yi Chen-feng. 100 layers of spatial restrictions. Before the powerful streams of green light could reach his body, Yi Chen-feng activated his powerful spatial energy and formed 100 layers of spatial restrictions in front of him, blocking the attacks of the green streams of light. As expected, there's a flaw. Yi Chen-feng suddenly opened his eyes and directed the ancestral sword spirit to attack the Divine Tree Diagram's flaw. Gotcha! Under the attack of the sword spirit, the Divine Tree Diagram began to crack and crack. The sight stunned Mu Linger. How did you do it? How did you find the Divine Tree Diagram's flaw so quickly? Mu Linger's pretty eyes widened as she looked at Yi Chen-feng in shock. She was stunned that she'd locked onto the Divine Tree Diagram's restrictions in such a short time. What? Is it that hard to find a flaw? Yi Chen-feng smiled as he directed the sword spirit to attack the Divine Tree Diagram's flaw. More and more cracks appeared on the Divine Tree Diagram's surface under the sword spirit's attacks. Meanwhile, the streaks of green light it shot out grew weaker and weaker. Break! As Yi Chen-feng let out a piercing sound, the ancestral sword's soul pierced through the Divine Tree Diagram's flaw like a hot knife through butter, destroying it in one fell swoop. Now that the Divine Tree Diagram's been broken, can I keep going? Yi Chen-feng looked at Mu Linger, whose eyes were wide with disbelief, and spoke mildly. Formidable? You really are formidable. I have a feeling that you might really be able to pass the final trial. Mu Linger recovered with a look of worship. How about we make a deal? What kind of deal? Yi Chen-feng looked at the mischievous Mu Linger. You take me out of this damn place, and I'll help you. Mu Linger said sweetly. Sorry, I don't have the skills. Yi Chen-feng shook his head. As long as you can pass all the trials and obtain the ultimate treasure here, you can take one person with you. I hope you can take me with you. Mu Linger blinked her large eyes at Yi Chen-feng with a pleading look. If that day really comes, what benefits can you give me? Yi Chen-feng pondered for a moment before asking. I can teach you a divine art from the outer verse. Mu Linger rested her chin on her hand as she said this. All right, deal. Chapter 1946. I just knew you'd agree. Hearing Yi Chen-feng's agreement, Mu Linger's beautiful eyes curved into crescents as she spoke happily. Mu Linger, can you tell me ahead of time that you're going to teach me the secret arts of the universe outside the door? Yi Chenfeng asked curiously. I can't. Mu Linger shook her head and refused. Right now, I'm not sure if you can really take me out of here, so I can't tell you ahead of time. All right. Since Mu Linger didn't want to tell him ahead of time, Yi Chenfeng didn't press her any further. He brought her out of the rapidly withering forest and towards the end of the ancient path. Mu Linger, do you know how long it'll take for us to reach the end of this path? Yi Chenfeng asked as they walked. Soon. There are still 2 more trials ahead. Once we pass them, we can leave the path of life and death. Mu Linger said softly as she skipped along behind Yi Chenfeng. What are those 2 trials? Yi Chenfeng asked. The closest trial to us is an evil big sister. She's very, very fierce and powerful. I can't beat her. As for the final test, it's the heavenly Tao steel. But I don't know how strong that steel is, but I've seen people who challenged it before get crushed in an instant. Mu Linger told Yi Chenfeng everything she knew. There are still 2 more trials. We're finally at the end of the trial space. Although Yi Chenfeng wasn't clear on the difficulty of the last 2 trials, he was confident in his own strength. He was confident that he could pass them all. That's right, Mu Linger. Are you really from this universe? And how did you get trapped here? Yi Chenfeng was curious about Mu Linger's identity. I forgot everything. Mu Linger glanced at Yi Chenfeng and shook her head. Yi Chenfeng could sense that Mu Linger was hiding many secrets, but since she wasn't willing to open her heart to him, Yi Chenfeng didn't press her. Big brother, do you see that group of white clouds floating slowly in front of us? That evil sister was hiding in the clouds. She's very fierce, so you have to be careful when you fight her. Mu Linger pointed at the giant cloud in front of them with a vigilant expression. All right, wait for me here. I'll go meet her. Yi Chenfeng nodded and slowly walked toward the white cloud with heavy steps. As he got closer and closer, Yi Chenfeng's aura grew stronger and stronger. Under the amplification of his Grand Mist bloodline, the life and death test space could no longer suppress Yi Chenfeng. His terrifying aura caused the air to surge. When Yi Chenfeng was 3 meters away from the white cloud, the entire cloud began to fluctuate violently like a stormy sea. In an instant, it transformed into a terrifying white hand. With 100 billion gene of power, it attacked Yi Chenfeng. Boom! Before the white hand could reach Yi Chenfeng's body, it was shattered by the powerful force that emanated from his body. It turned into wisps of white smoke and dissipated with the wind. Don't hide anymore. Hurry and show yourself. With the god-devouring brain's calculations, Yi Chenfeng had long locked onto the woman hidden in the white cloud. Her entire body was fused with the clouds as she drifted about unpredictably. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Just as Yi Chenfeng finished speaking, the boiling clouds quickly transformed into thousands of extremely fast cloud swords, attacking Yi Chenfeng in a densely packed manner. Since you don't want to show yourself, I'll beat you out. 3,000 transforming divinity fist. Yi Chenfeng possessed limitless ancestral power, so he had no qualms about using supreme divine abilities. He punched out, creating 3,000 fist auras that crushed the incoming cloud swords as easily as crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood. He punched into the violently tumbling cloud layer, and the terrifying fist aura directly pierced through the cloud layer, forcing out the woman hiding within. Supreme divine ability. Feeling the power of the 3,000 god-transforming fist, a woman in green armor who was not tall, but had an enchanting appearance, and whose plump peaks trembled, exclaimed in shock. She was emitting a cold aura. She suppressed the surging qi and blood in her body. I didn't expect you to have such knowledge, Yi Chenfeng said indifferently, but his eyes gradually turned cold. This was because he sensed that the blood of the Celestials flowed in the woman's body. He suspected that she was a Celestial. How about we make a deal? Take me out of here, and I'll help you obtain the ultimate secret of this place. The woman looked at Xiang Chenfeng from afar and felt that he was not simple. She said softly, You're so confident that I can pass? Yi Feng smiled. I feel that you're not simple. You might be able to create a miracle. The woman said patiently. If you can really take me out of here, I can even be your woman and serve you for the rest of your life. Forget it. I'm not interested in the people of the Celestials. If I keep you by my side, I'm afraid you'll eat me. Yi Feng shook his head and rejected her directly. You really don't want to think about it? If you dual cultivate with me, whether it's your body or your soul, you'll be able to reach a higher level. This is something that many people will never be able to enjoy in their entire lives. The woman licked her lips and said seductively, Not interested. Yi Feng shook his head and said, Don't waste time. Make your move. All right. Tian Wushuang, will definitely make you regret it. Tian Wushuang did not expect Yi Feng to reject him so thoroughly. He flew into a rage out of humiliation. Surging heavenly energy gushed out of his body, turning into a sky-shaking wave behind him that swept through the entire space. If you were a peak ancestor realm almighty, you might have this strength. However, you only have the strength of a peak 2-star heavenly ancestor. I'm afraid your attack won't even be able to touch the corner of my clothes. Yi Feng shook his head and replied domineeringly. He activated the invincible sword body and formed a domain of swords around his body. Die. As a top genius of the Imperial Celestial Clan, when had Tian Wushuang ever been looked down upon like this? He controlled the giant wave formed from his Tao intent and swept towards Yi Feng, wanting to crush him. Rumble. The surging waves swept over, and the entire space was rioting. The entire space suddenly fell into chaos. Domain of Swords break. Facing the powerful Tao intent giant wave, Yi Feng was fearless. He took a light step forward, and the Domain of Swords expanded infinitely, directly swallowing the incoming giant wave. In the next moment, under the powerful attack of the Domain of Swords, the Tao intent giant wave that was enough to kill a 2-star ancestor realm almighty was shattered. Before it could even touch Yi Feng's body, it disappeared within the Domain of Swords. Domain, how can you control the power of Domain? Tian Wushuang's eyes widened as she looked at Yi Feng in shock. It could be said that Yi Feng's methods had broken her understanding of domains, causing her to feel deeply uneasy. You're a person who is about to die. There is no need for you to know so much, Yi Feng said coldly. Wait. As a top genius of the Imperial Sky Clan, Tian Wushuang was deeply aware of the terror of domains. It could be said that Yi Feng was already in an invincible position when he cultivated to the Void God realm. It was impossible for her to defeat him. I'm not your opponent. I will give up on being your enemy. You can continue to advance. Under the deterrence of the Domain of Swords, Tian Wushuang had no choice but to lower her noble head and say sullenly, You will give up on being my enemy? But I have no intention of letting you go. The celestial race was Yi Feng's greatest enemy, and also the spirit race's enemy. Although Tian Wushuang was extremely beautiful, Yi Feng did not show mercy to her and attacked her with the Domain of Swords. Wait, as long as you are willing to let me go, I am willing to agree to any of your conditions, including my body. After seeing Yi Feng's heaven-defying methods, Tian Wushuang felt that Yi Feng might really be able to create a miracle. Once he passed through all the tests in the Death Cave, she might have a chance to escape and leave this damn place. Not interested, Yi Feng was unmoved. He controlled the Domain of Swords and attacked, directly engulfing the pale Tian Wushuang. He mobilized the powerful Domain of Swords and crazily attacked.